Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4playernetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy. Player podcast. This is a very special episode. It's our this isn't our first show of the year, right? No. I'm losing track of time. This is our 2018 award show though. And oh yeah, my name's Nick Henderson, joined by Brad Simons,
Yo,
Nolan Hedstrom,
fuck the Oscars,
Christopher Guthridge,
what's up,
Christopher Davis,
hello.
And like I said, this is our 2018 award show. Every year we kind of put a bow on the prior year by going through a series of award categories and doing our own little, celebration of all the things that we loved and some of the things that we didn't love about all the games we played in the prior year. We are doing things a little bit differently this year, though. We are going to be splitting the show into 2 parts. So the first episode will be recorded tonight. That's going to include 12 categories, and the part 2 will be recorded next Tuesday, and it's going to include the last 12 categories. And tonight's going to be a little bit more gameplay focused. Next week will be a little bit more story focused, but we have a lot of
gameplay focused, you could say.
Wait, what? Non-gameplay focused, sure. But the point is, we're going to have two episodes, each with 12 categories covering the best and worst of 2018. So make sure you listen to both episodes. And also,
Nick, you forgot feedback.
We're not doing feedback this week. I will say this, because for the immediate future, for the next month or so, we're going to be recording podcasts starting next week on Tuesday nights. And then after we can kind of get back to our normal schedule, we'll jump back to Thursday. But for the next month, next 3 weeks or so, tune in on Tuesday nights. I will say this, last week we did our 2019 preview show, so if you have not listened to that yet, listen to it. We talked about 200 fucking games coming out in 2019, so there is a lot to be excited about. If you want to, start getting hyped now, check that episode out.
Hey Nolan, for your Thursday streams for that month, you should start with this shot, sitting on the couch and let all these people show up and then be like, all right, I'm going to play something now.
Just for the first 10 minutes of my stream, just set up
just
this.
Talk to them like you're waiting for us to show up.
Yeah.
Oh man, they're not showing up. I guess I'll play something.
That's not a bad idea.
Commit to the bit. Do it.
Surveys.
Oh yes, we have 2. Thank you.
You can even make your own backgrounds.
A little bit more housekeeping before we get started on the awards. There's a couple surveys we'd love for you guys to fill out. So if you're a member of the community, we have a top 10 community survey out there. So if you want to vote for your favorite games of the year, please go vote in that survey. Even if you didn't play a full 10 games last year, the survey is more inclusive than it's ever been. So even if you played 5 games, it doesn't matter.
Who didn't play 10 games?
I don't know.
What are they, a bunch of casuals?
Yes. Anyways, go vote in that survey. We're going to be using that to put together the community's top 10. We're, of course, working on our individual top 10s. We'll get those out as soon as we can. And secondly, there is a survey devoted to your favorite moments of the year, 4-player moments of the year. So favorite highlights. Go vote for your favorite highlights of the year, and we'll put together a top 10 list from that as well. And we'll start rolling all that content out in the coming weeks. And lastly, I wanted to go ahead and just say that next week, I'm going to be recording with some of my lovely cohorts here a Red Dead Redemption 2 spoiler cast. I don't know exactly which day it is yet. It's going to be whichever day I end up broadcasting, probably. But we're going to do a Red Dead Redemption 2 spoiler cast. And if you played the game and you're a supporter of us on Patreon, we'd love to have you kind of help us curate that conversation. So if you have any talking points or questions or even personal anecdotes about funny shit that happened to you or cool shit that happened to you in the story, we'd love to hear from you. There's a post over at patreon.com/4player. Just go there, leave a comment there, and we'll kind of pull in that, and I'll use it to kind of lead the conversation when we're having that next week. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to our first award, right? So the way this typically works, we're going to break it up into segments. We're going to have 2 breaks tonight. We're going to have 3 segments, each with 4 categories. We're going to go around the room. We're going to say our runner-up, and then we're going to go around the couch again. And we're going to say our winner for each category, right? Is that how we did it last year?
No,
Did we do one?
I think we do runner-up, winner, and then we move on.
Oh, God.
I'm telling you, I think that's how it is.
We've done it both ways.
The question is, which
the
way
last
do we...
couple we've done.
The question is,
runner-up
how do we
and
want to
winner.
do it today?
Because the thing is, if each person does one right after the other, it goes a lot quicker.
That is true. That is true. If you have to go around the couch a full 2 times, it takes longer.
Yeah.
And there's a potential for there to be like overlap. Well, he already talked about mine. I don't know. I feel like it just...
Well, that's gonna happen anyways.
You're right. Anyways,
Do runner up and winner then.
I love how we're just playing this on the fly. Let's do this. We're gonna do a runner-up, one runner-up each.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys in chat have your own personal choices, I might grab some of y'all's comments.
Do we have somebody? Timekeeper? I mean, a court reporter?
Oh, we don't have a court reporter. Chris Davis, would you like to be a court reporter?
What am I?
We should have talked about this. Write down our winners for each of the categories. Can you do that?
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe if someone in chat can volunteer to do that now, maybe Chris Davis is kind of producing this podcast.
I have faith that somebody in our chat on twitch.tv/4Player
open up
podcast
a Google Sheet or something.
We'll keep track of the categories and we'll write down our personal winners, not the runner-ups, just the winners for each of us as we go through them.
Just so it's like reference material that can go along with the podcast in the past, because I know I've come back to listen to old podcasts and you have to like listen to all of it just to maybe find 1 or 2 things. Like, what did I give my favorite, moment from 8 years ago?
I have my list. Can we not just compile all our lists together?
Well, that stuff kind of changes as we're going around. You're like, I forgot that one.
Who changes stuff?
It happens.
Brad's admitting.
It happens.
Brad's guilty.
Brad's a game stealer.
No, that's how it works. But if 2 people already said it, maybe I do an honorable. Are we doing honorable mentions?
Yeah.
Are we?
I wrote them down.
We always do honorable mentions.
Okay, fine. We'll do some honorable. Oh God.
Just that we do after everyone's gone.
And that's just off
we
the cuff,
rattle them off. We rattle them off. No long conversations.
And that would be a great opportunity if you're watching us on Twitch. If you have thoughts or ideas about things that you want to throw out there, shout them out in chat, and maybe we'll pick your name out and read it.
I like Boner Killer Spirit.
What? Boner Killer says, "I will keep the records and revise the ones I do not agree with." That's God. Maybe someone that's not Boner Killer
Ed
should
just
do
said
this.
he was going to do it.
Okay.
I thank you.
Yeah, Ed famously actually kept track of all our lists for years.
Yeah, before he was part of our show. So
Famously.
I trust that guy.
Famously.
All right, so here's what we're gonna do.
All right,
we're gonna roll through these categories. We have, like I said, we have 12 to go over tonight, and I'm just gonna let Chris Davis hit us with the first category. I'm literally going in the order that you dictated, Brad.
Okay.
So our first category of the night, best
He
world.
spelled
Wait, what?
level wrong. Sorry, go ahead.
What?
I don't know.
He's being a dick.
He laughed, so I thought he was laughing at something.
No,
Best
don't worry
world / level design. And who's gonna go first? Brad, would you like to go?
I guess
Or
I
normal,
usually go
yeah.
first, yeah. Okay, so my runner-up for best world / level design is Dusk.
Ooh.
So Dusk is a throwback style, like first-person shooter, kind of throwing back to the good era from the 90s. It does a really good job. It starts off when you're playing that first few levels, just kind of like, oh, this is kind of like Quake.
Mm-hmm.
But as you get to like episode 2 and episode 3, the shit gets crazy. Some of the craziest, most inventive level design I've seen in a first-person shooter. And I played a lot of those FPSs from the 90s.
I really wish it had, I was really expecting that game to hook me when I started playing it.
Well, I mean,
I played like 2 hours of it, and I just kind of
how many levels did you play?
Like,
This isn't Nick therapy.
I did not get.
Let me tell you about
to
Dusk.
chapter 2.
Do we want to spend this much time on our runner-ups?
Well, no. Well, let's not have any side conversations about why Nick didn't play it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Nick.
All I want to say is
There's going to be a lot of that tonight.
yes, incredible level design with like insane surprises and mechanics that you didn't expect, constantly popping up. If you like quality old school shooters with really good level design, play Dusk. It really is maybe one of the best first-person shooters I've ever played.
I think I know what Brad's winner is.
Okay.
I'm just going to say that I've
My
watched a lot of Dusk, and it just doesn't do it for me.
Okay, well, you got to play it.
This isn't Nolan therapy.
My winner is Subnautica.
Damn, I was wrong.
Because Subnautica, seriously, one of the best open worlds I've ever played. And I think there's a misconception that because this was often compared to like Minecraft early on, like, oh, it's like Minecraft underwater because there's a lot of like survival elements. That's sort of a misconception because this isn't some like randomly generated world or like a haphazardly generated one. This is like a very well made, handcrafted environment. It's just under the ocean, and just from beginning to end, exploring that world was constantly surprising me.
I have a question for you, Brad.
Yeah.
If there's overlap, when do we mention it, or do we just wait?
Maybe we usually hop in if there's overlap.
Subnautica is also my winner
Absolutely.
for this category.
Absolutely stunning. When I was exploring this world, I was like, this is like, I'm getting some of the same feelings I was getting with Breath of the Wild from last year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is truly that much of a joy to explore
And also,
this world. And at first, you just really don't think you're going to be doing the shit you're doing
at
30 hours later.
At first, all you have is a little fucking dinghy, and
Yeah.
like you have some flippers.
Yeah.
And so you're afraid to explore more than like 20 feet away from your hub. And then all of a sudden, I was playing it before the show because I was capturing footage, and all of a sudden, you're fucking like 2 miles away from your dinghy in a fucking submarine out exploring the scale of that game. How
The scale, and even that first hour, it's still impressive, but you have no idea what you're going to get into.
So
And that's that kind of wonder of that world.
two things I want to bring up. One, it's the sheer. So what I loved about this game, and I think it's a testament to its level design, its world design, is the fact that like it's an ocean.
Mm-hmm.
It's very it's very random in its terrain, but you learn it.
Oh yeah.
To the point where like I was planning, and I use this term, I've been saying this a lot. I was planning expeditions
Ooh.
in Subnautica when I wasn't playing it. I had like a notepad, and I was writing down like, what do I need to get? Where do I think I need to go to get it? Where can I maybe build like a small checkpoint base to make sure I can kind of like have a closer hub to come back to, or like what's my best path through there? And especially when you get later on in the game, and you not only are you trying to plan your routes through this long area, but sometimes it's about like, how do I fit this fucking submarine through this like tight cave?
Why do you need to get your submarine down so low? That scares me.
Oh wait, have you not done that yet? There
Brad,
is,
how deep have you gone?
I've
is
gone
a-
1,500 meters.
dude. There is one place in that you can only take your submarine to, and getting there is an extremely tight passage.
I gotcha. So
And the second thing is,
I mean, I think I'm about to do that.
and second thing is, there is nothing more satisfying than making it back to the surface.
So it's funny because you're all like, yeah, I had my charts and stuff. Like, I'm the kind of guy who's like, my prawn suit ain't even upgraded. All I have is this grappling hook, but I'm still gonna jump down this hole anyways.
What?
And it's like, this is probably not a good idea, but you keep going further and further, going, I should probably turn back. But you know what?
So-
that looks cool over there. I didn't expect to see this. I'm gonna keep going.
So the problem,
that's how I played Subnautica.
I played it exactly opposite. I didn't get charts, but I mean, like my submarine,
are
my
nerdy
big
explorers.
one, the Belafonte. Like I fucking filled that thing with lockers, and they're all labeled, and I fucking double fisted drills on my prawn suit, and I'm out there fucking mining for hours, and all of a sudden I have like thousands of copper and gold and lead.
no, he showed me his submarine before we started recording tonight, and he has like literally like 100 lockers on his submarine.
Oh yeah, dude, I go on expeditions for like 30 days away from my fucking main base, and then go back and have to like, I have multiple bases set throughout the thing, the world, so I can have battery chargers at them, so I don't have to go all the way back to my main base to get more batteries.
That's why the shit's cool. But we need to move on.
Yeah, we do.
That was Brad's winner. That was also my winner. That's Subnautica. Nolan, what's your runner-up?
My
for
runner-up
best world
for
design?
best world level design is Crosscode.
Oh, shit.
This is a game that even when I saw footage of it, I didn't expect the world to be how it is. The fact that it's not just, when you look at it, it looks like an isometric RPG, and it is, but there's more than that. There's levels. You have to interact with platforms for solving puzzles and just navigating the world.
Never have I seen like that much like verticality, like in such a small space in an isometric game.
Yeah.
It's like truly unique the way they do it. And there's sort of a vocabulary you have to learn to kind of get used to it. Like getting from like different heights to
you
the other.
You have to recognize when you can and can't switch between levels, and there's little like half steps, and those are the ones you use to get to a next level. And okay, now I'm on this level. How do I get to that crate I saw over there? And how do I navigate this? Or my goal is to defeat all the enemies in this section, but the problem is some are at a different level, and maybe I actually need to come in from that level. And not to mention like the dungeons and stuff as well, because the first fucking dungeon you go into, you're like, okay, a little dungeon. Oh, I've been in this dungeon for like 2 hours, like solving dozens and dozens of puzzles.
Zelda dungeons haven't even been that long for a long time.
No. Yeah, the amount of time and you spend in those dungeons is insane.
It's wonderful.
And then my winner for best world level design is Astrobot Rescue Mission.
See, that's what I thought Brad was gonna say. But
dude, the fucking we've talked about Astrobot quite a bit on the show this year. And it once again, it's a VR game that it doesn't do justice until you're in it and you're looking and you're literally like having to look around walls to see where your guy is, and just
it's the level design. If it wasn't in VR, the level design wouldn't be anything special.
Oh no, it wouldn't. No,
which is well, that's not well.
It would be good, but it wouldn't be like my winner for best level design.
It is part. It's funny because I'm going to be talking about Astrobot in kind of a different category for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
But it really is married. The level design is married to the VR experience, and I think when you marry them, you get some like really memorable level design for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention, it just does some really cool things.
It's the variety and like the cool ideas. It really does feel like almost like a Mario Galaxy game with how much you're doing new shit as you go through that game.
It's one of those scenarios where like, you know, the first levels start off very simple. You're just running down hallways, climbing on this, but all of a sudden later on, you're like, your guy's nowhere near you. He's like up on some platform, they're 40 feet above you or down below you in some small pit, and you're controlling him. Yeah. Like just like some of that stuff is it's just goddamn impressive.
It's all about that depth perception.
Oh yeah.
All right, Crispy,
it's your turn.
Oh, you guys done?
Do you know where you're at?
My runner up for best world
/ level design
is the Obra Dinn from Return of the Obra Dinn. I don't know. It seems like kind of a weird choice, maybe, but
it's a really well thought out ship.
Yeah, like the whole game takes place on the ship, and you have access to pretty much the whole ship.
99%.
It's a very like it's a very like interesting. What's the word I'm trying to fucking? I don't know.
Words?
It's just I felt more present in that world than I do in most games. Like just walking around the ship and just like learning every inch of it and like becoming familiar with the floor plan of that ship and the ship being like very like a very like kind of historically, you know, accurate recreation of what you would see from the 1800s.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, there was something about, like the ship was, like, a character to me, you know?
Yeah,
like, it was a very interesting space to inhabit and to, like, learn about. And the game does some interesting things where, like, there will be moments where it takes you away from the ship, you know? Things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
there's something... It's effective in the way
there's something kind of effervescent about it. Like something I can't really quite put my finger on, but, like that... Being in that ship and the way that game just kind of like makes you inhabit a space without you're not doing anything in the game, but like you're not running around shooting people, you're not like mining, you're not exploring, you're not picking up like collectibles or anything. You're just like
you're picking things up with your eyes.
You're existing in a space. Yeah, you're just exploring a space, and you become in a certain way like more intimately familiar with that space than like you would in pretty much, I think, any other game.
You have a very unique relationship with that ship.
Yeah.
I was impressed by how they designed the poop deck.
The poop deck. Yes.
I think no one just wanted to say poop deck.
I think so too.
Probably just poop.
And my winner for best world level design goes to Monster Hunter World.
Ah, yes.
Of course it does. The maps of that game are just fucking incredible. I mean,
talking about
from the first one,
not
just. Yeah, I mean, it's not just that they're vertical too. It's that they're very like. They're very winding, interconnected. Like they're, you know, I've gone through the ancient forest 100 times. You know, I've done a bunch of different hunts there, but I still like am using my map to try to like find all the different paths.
It's
and like
winding ass.
It is a very
Winding.
intricate, very like dense area,
Yeah.
and each one of the different maps is so completely different from the other one, and they really do a good job of kind of like representing these completely different, like radically different biomes and ecosystems.
And the design plays into the way you fight the monsters, especially when you're like fighting like flying dragons and stuff, and they're moving throughout the world, and all of a sudden you were like on the top of the canopy, now he's way down at the bottom, and it's like, well, the way that makes sense is to jump down, and well, I'm gonna land on this monster.
Yeah,
you know, like the verticality plays into the way you approach, you know, and attack the monsters, and
the way you like fight.
Yeah.
And I mean,
so
even
cool.
just like the concept for something like the Coral Highlands, like they just look beautiful. They're just like these really weird alien landscapes that just I don't know, like that. The
only one I didn't really
delight.
love is the Elder Recess, though. I feel like
Elder
that one
Recess?
seemed kind of rushed.
Yeah, a little bit. That's one of the smallest in the game.
Cool.
But yeah, that's one of my honorable mentions.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, since my winner I already talked about, which was Subnautica, like Brad, my runner-up was going to be Guacamelee 2. You know, the sheer amount of complexity they packed into that side-scrolling platformer / Metroidvania is fucking insane, because they've introduced all of these crazy, you know, new mechanics and like switching dimensions and having to do it all on the fly and in combination with combat and new enemy designs, and like it gets fucking nuts, like turning into a chicken and then turning it back into a human, but like having to do it all super fast. Like
every fucking screen and combat challenge in that game is a handcrafted like puzzle.
It's so tightly tuned.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
It is so tightly tuned.
Toy.
So yeah, that's really all there is to say about that. I also want to mention, since Ed is in chat, he mentioned his winner, his runner-up, and his winner.
These are runners-up for me.
His runner-up was Valkyria Chronicles 4, which does also, from what I've played too, has excellent
some of the
level
best
design.
map design in that series.
Yeah, it makes
insane variety.
Makes every one of those stages really fun. But his winner is Celeste, which I actually haven't.
Some of the best level design of any
I will
platformer,
say,
honestly.
Out of all of our award categories, this one has the most runner-ups
Yes,
for me.
yes.
Like, it's insane. Like, Red Dead Redemption 2 had a fucking great world. Subnautica, Into the Breach, God of War,
Hitman
Chasm,
2?
Hitman 2, Spider-Man, The Gardens Between.
Monster
there
Boy
were so
and
many
the Cursed
games this
Kingdom?
year
Yeah.
with fucking great world. This was probably one of my hardest like categories to come
Absolutely.
up with,
This
just
one hurt.
because there was so many good
This one
levels.
hurt.
I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is definitely deserving of an honorable mention on level design wise, but there's another category on here that I think we're gonna get to next week that I think is the only reason I didn't give it the winner for this category, because I thought it fit better in the other category.
That's fine.
But
Yeah, that's fair.
yeah, it's absolutely an excellent world design. Also, Astrobot was an honorable mention
Of
for me.
course, of
And God of War was really cool because of the way you're always raising and lowering the water in the main
I
hub
mean,
area.
like,
that
you
was
talk about, you know, Guacamelee's level. Like, God of War had a great level. The way you interact and wind between that world and go back, and now the level's different. So the water level's a different level. So now you go back to the same place, but you have a completely new access to different areas.
Yeah.
Like,
You're
that
gonna
took a
hear me
lot of
say
time.
the words level design
Oh, yeah.
a lot in my top 10. It's been a really good year
Oh, yeah.
for world and level design. You'll see.
all right. Any other honorable mentions tonight? If there's anybody in chat
Let's
who wants,
move on to the next. Oh,
I was just saying, if there's anybody in chat who wants to throw out their honorable mentions too, as we're going
yeah.
along,
I
please
want to
do.
hear
I'll call
what
you
you have
out.
to say in chat.
I will be happy to call people out if they throw out their honorable mentions and winners.
Fuck the
Our
Oscars.
next category is best sequel / most improved sequel. So I guess that's the same thing. So Brad, what is your runner up for best sequel?
So, I realized when looking at my list of play games that I actually haven't played like so many sequels. A lot of what I've played are kind of new experiences, which is a great thing.
See, that's kind of
or maybe the sequels weren't like so much more improved. I kind of focused on the ones that were the most improved in a lot of ways. So my runner-up is God of War.
That is also my runner-up.
Not because I don't really like those old games, I do, but it's a very different type of game, and the leap that they made, turning like an 8-hour, you know, kind of set piece driven experience into a fucking 30-hour, 40-hour like world to explore, filled with, you know, puzzles and challenges, is something that like is just fucking impressive. Even though maybe I still like God of War 2 more than this new one, like I would never take away like the kind of leap that they made with this entry. This is a like Resident Evil 4 level step forward for the series.
So once again, I feel compelled to jump into this conversation because God of War is actually my winner.
That's fine. Yeah.
Mostly because I was thinking about this category and I immediately jumped into one direction. Then I thought to myself like, but God of War is like, if we talk about most improved, like I don't think I've seen I can't think of a game where that I was so lukewarm on.
Oh yeah, especially coming off of like the previous few entries in the franchise.
A series that I was so lukewarm on.
I mean, the last one was Ascension.
To being like crazy invested in. Like I adore this entry in the series to the point where like I am super excited for the future of the franchise. Like everything before this was kind of like, I guess it's cool, I'll play it.
I was a little upset that there weren't any sex minigames.
See, you're being sarcastic.
Yes, I am. But Nick, how many more sons do you think Kratos has out there from all those sex minigames?
So many sons. Every game is going to be a new son.
I heard David Jaffe defend like one of the sex scenes.
Yeah.
Like in the first one, I like the first one or the second one. Yeah. He was a creator director on the second one as well. So I don't know which one it was, but it was the one where you're like, there's like two like
in the hot tub or
chicks
whatever
on like a bed,
and
then it cuts away and you're like banging them, and the candle's shaking, and then like the wax is going everywhere.
Like the beginning of the game.
Jizz, right?
That's like the beginning.
And he says, well, actually, there was a note, and if you read the note, it was Kratos admitting that he was taken by this urge and it wasn't himself. And I'm like, dude,
okay.
Just own it if you're gonna be like this.
But yes, like Nick and Brad were saying,
fucking goober.
God of War being my runner-up in this category, like just leaps and bounds improvements.
But you know what? Like one thing I think is fascinating about God of War specifically is that like I adore this new one almost like more because of the fact of what he was
origins,
before.
where it came from.
Yeah, the fact that he was so juvenile and like just ridiculous, and now like, he's being forced into like this bigger like having a bigger responsibility.
You're taking a character who, in the actual fucking story of the game, he was just out for revenge. He was angry and wanted to kill everybody, and now this is years later, and he's like, I'm not as angry as I used to be.
I need to chill out
juvenile.
a little bit. I mean, I'm saying the game was juvenile.
Sure, it was sort of one note.
Yeah.
It was pretty juvenile.
It was.
Yeah. I mean,
it was very like 15-year-old power fantasy.
Yeah, the sex scene you just mentioned.
That's Brad. That's why I liked God of War when I was younger. It's like, I'm mad. I get to beat up people and
no one's gonna tell Kratos when to go to bed.
Yeah.
So yeah, the fact that they've turned this character in this world into something that I'm actually super invested in as like an adult human being is like really cool.
Brad, your winner.
Oh yeah.
Jesus.
We're still on.
Did anyone else mention God of War?
Yeah, you guys are terrible.
Me and Nick did.
Okay.
God of War was my runner-up, and
it's
it was Nick's winner.
My winner is, and I've talked a little bit about this on the podcast when I played it, is Yakuza 6. This is a very long-running series that always felt kind of held back by its world design specifically. It's like physics and some of the ways it felt kind of janky. Not to say that Yakuza 6 is like free of jank or whatever, but they finally took a lot of big steps forward. Probably the biggest step forward in terms of the way they designed that world and the physics and the way you get around that world, that, I had to mention it here as sort of just, best, most improved sequel. It's sort of the first one that made me, have a real positive outlook about the future of the series outside of just the crazy story and the characters. I also like how this one finally, for the first time, got away from these cutscenes, which are like lavishly produced and very well voice acted, to you're reading text because Kiryu's talking on the phone and it's not voiced and you're just buttoning through it. Yeah. This was the first Yakuza game that was fully voiced, even the sub stories, and this was also the first time that Kiryu was voiced in the sub stories, because this was the first one that had voiced sub stories. So you got to hear Kiryu be the more like goofy outlandish character that he only was in sub stories. And
because in the past it was always just him going, ugh. Like there's like surprise noises,
exactly,
and stuff.
or like reactions that be like zoom ins on his face.
Yeah.
But now you see him, being this mascot, the Onomichio guy, the mascot of Onomichi, and he's delivering these lines as this mascot, but he's doing it in a really silly voice. And you would have never gotten like that sort of delivery from him before.
Yeah.
So like it might seem like a small thing, but it was actually, it went a long way in making that character feel even more developed than he ever has been before, which it was almost like this weird divide of unvoiced silly Kiryu and fully voiced serious main cutscene Kiryu. So I really like that. Just a lot of smart ideas of trying to make, the food system a lot feel like less, useless, which it kind of was before. It's just a lot of positive step forwards for the series. So that's why it's my winner for most improved / best sequel.
Cool. That's Yakuza 6. Nolan, what's your winner? Your runner
My
for God of
winner,
War.
God of War is my runner. My winner is 7 Billion Humans. For the sheer fact that I played, I got onto this game this year. I heard about it from Brad, and I originally played its prequel, the game before it. I guess
what was it
prequel? The original one was.
I'm sorry, I was reacting to something somebody just said in chat.
The
with
original
Monster
one
Hunter World.
was Human Resource Machine.
Oh yeah, 7 billion humans.
So 7 Billion Humans. The leap from the depth of what the interactions you had in the first game, the very, very simple commands, to this one having actual like for loops and just the complexity of it.
This is but for those who aren't familiar, this is a game where
So the whole
programming
point
logic is kind of the core.
The whole point of 7 Billion Humans is you were given a task, do this in whatever way you want. You were given some simple commands. You list those commands in certain orders in certain ways, and the characters on the screen will take those commands literally and just do them. And so it's all about using basic programming language.
If I had played Human Resource Machine, this might be up there for me too, because I ended up playing a fair amount of this as well. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, Human Resource Machine almost seemed like kind of like a proof of concept,
Yeah,
almost like a slight evolution of almost like a game jam idea, right? While Human Resource or 7 Billion Humans, it was like they turned it into this full, much more expansive game, kind of like what they did with Tower of Goo and World of Goo back in the day.
It feels like the like all these ideas that they kind of had in the midst of developing Human Resource Machine, but didn't like.
We can't do that. And for me, that's what I do. I program, and so like just thinking about this game and how this game works, and like I would have to write this to be able to take in a for loop and move these variables. So it's I don't know what they wrote it in, maybe Python. I mean, it's doing it on the fly, and so it's having to take these commands and do, and it's just like, that's very impressive to me. And the scale at which the game goes from the first one to this one is just like drastically different.
And translating it to be like people moving around on a screen to make
Correct,
it very
and so playing it out. It's I don't
brilliant.
know. It was one of those things that I was very impressed by, and I think it was some good improvements.
Yeah,
Crispy.
Cool. Crispy, what's your runner-up?
My runner-up for best sequel / most improved
You want to look at your list? You can.
is Red Dead Redemption 2.
That is also my runner-up.
Hey, yeah.
It is good.
I thought about my mind immediately jumped to Red Dead Redemption when I hit this category, and then I thought,
I just think I think that this game does a lot to expand a lot of the less tangible qualities of Red Dead in very interesting ways.
It makes Red Dead Redemption 1 feel kind of empty a little bit, and not mechanically speaking.
It does a really
Juvenile,
good job.
if you will.
No, I wouldn't say juvenile.
I think Rockstar has grown in terms of like the writing.
Sure, but
I
Red
feel
Dead
like this was a
Redemption 1
lot less cynical.
I think a better word would be sophomoric as opposed to juvenile.
Yeah, because
the
writing in the first one's still really solid.
Yeah. I feel like it expands upon like sort of the storytelling and the character development from the first game in a really interesting way. I really like, for example, I really like that John is a big part of the game, but he's like a supporting character, but you can kind of see where his relation, like you're surrounded by a lot of characters from the first game, and you can kind of see how by the time you get to Red Dead Redemption 1, they are all like these very disparate, separated actors, and you can kind of see like where the cracks began to form, and like why Bill is such a fucking hard ass, but like was always loyal to Dutch. Why Dutch like was a person who was very charismatic, had a lot of leaders, led a lot of people, but then kind of just like started losing it. You know, like
he has a plan, Crispy.
he has a plan.
You just have a little faith.
I'm not done with the game. Dutch loses it.
Just need a
If you
little
just
bit of
have a
faith.
little faith.
Yeah. I mean, it's so like watching that evolution is very interesting. I really like the way that they kind of changed the character's position between the two games. Where in the first one you're very much like a man alone in the world who's like, you know, kind of against everybody, and in the first game they at least through, you know, most of the game they have at least some sort of illusion of like family and togetherness and support. Really interesting. It is not my winner though, because it did not, you know, it did not make maybe as many technical advances as it should have as far as like controlling gameplay experience. But my winner, what?
It's one of the first times that I wish a game was simpler and had less systems in it.
I wish it had less systems. I agree.
While I am inclined to, I can certainly see that point, because
I'm not talking about hunting. I'm talking about like
no, but
Chores
I'm also like, I think it's
eating
really
and
admirable
stuff.
that like they decided to go so deep into like make everything kind of a system. Everything you do in that game has like a mechanic behind it. Like
they've done that better.
to the
though.
point where
How come
like
I have
San
to clean
Andreas.
my gun,
But
but I
it's
don't
just
have
like-
to poop?
sure, but like they committed to a certain level of detail in that game, and they stuck to their guns, which I think is pretty.
Execution was the issue, I think.
It was yeah. I mean, I think there was a lot of really inspired ideas in a lot of that stuff. Maybe not the kind of thing that like, you know, holds up so well after 60 hours, but
When you're eating cans of beans
but
by
you
the
know,
dozen.
I don't think I ever ate
in-
beans.
Oh, I
Oh,
did.
well. Okay, cigarettes and tobacco.
There we go.
Cigars and tobacco.
You don't eat cigars and tobacco.
I smoked so many cigarettes.
Well, as fast as he was done with them, he may have been eating them.
but
Crispy, what's your one?
my winner, you fucking Philistines, is. You ready?
You're killing
Is it
me.
Monster
Yeah,
Hunter
is it-
World?
is it-
Because I regret not
It
saying
really
that.
should be Monster Hunter World, but it's not. It is Super Smash Brothers Ultimate.
Really?
Dude,
You've been secretly playing the shit out of this
I've been playing the
game.
shit out of that game.
I don't know. I don't think
just
they
think-
improved Snake's
Yeah,
butt.
well, I want to hear this because I'm not. Go ahead.
You
No, make your case because I'm actually kind of surprised you're saying that.
I just mean like first of all I think a lot of the characters that have been around that they've changed. For instance, my favorite one off the top of my head would be Ganondorf. Just like simple changes that they made to how these characters play, I think were all for the better. I don't think I've played a single character in the game that like I couldn't have fun with.
Yeah.
You know? I think that
Have you played Sheik? She's all business, no fun.
I fucking love Sheik.
Okay.
Dude, Sheik is fun. Like, I'm sorry.
You're playing it wrong.
I'm
Right?
just kidding.
I really
I had to
like-
pick a character. That
Sheik
was the first
like-
one that came into my
No,
mind.
Sheik was like my Sheik was when I was playing World of Light was like my main for a while until I started unlocking
Dr.
some other
Mario, all
I played-
business.
people. Dude, it's a fun game. It has you know, I love the fact that it has every character. I love the fact that it has every stage. The tool set that they've added, like being able to just have like all your list of like custom game modes and everything. I fucking love.
Yeah.
I love, you know, the fact that they've done Omega and Battlefield versions of every stage.
That's a really
you know?
cool improvement.
Like there's just a lot of really small things that kind of just make this like the one to play. I feel like,
Yeah,
you know,
no, if I was to pick up
unless
a
you were
Smash
like
Brothers at this
really
point.
devoted to a previous version of Smash Brothers and you wanted to play Smash Brothers, you could pick up this game and get absolutely everything that the series has to offer out of this one title. I think that it is
you
not
say it's
necessarily
the-
like a sexy choice. It's not necessarily like a mind-blowing like they've reinvented the wheel kind of thing, but I think that they put a lot of thought into like, hey, if we were only ever going to make one more Super Smash Brothers game and we wanted it to be like a complete package that will last, you know, how would we
The reason I'm going to give you a little pushback is because one of the very few things they removed going from the last Smash to this one was the Advance Wars Assist Trophy.
How did I know we weren't going to make this conversation without that coming?
Least
Although-
improved!
Although I got the Andy Spirit.
Okay, that means nothing.
Okay.
Would you say,
Spirits are
Crispy, that
important.
this is the ultimate version?
It is.
There's no
Ultimate.
Advance Wars assist trophy.
Snake's butt is too small.
That's true. They
true.
nerfed his butt.
They
did
did.
nerf
That's just
It's
a-
at least a fourth of
But
the
you know
size.
what? He's still so much fun to play.
You know what's funny? The scene, the FGC, the Smash Pro players or whatever tournaments. They're only playing. I saw some people complaining. They're like, they added 100 versions of Battlefield, and they're still just playing the default.
They're still
Battlefield.
just playing Battlefield.
Yeah, they're not playing like Battlefield versions of random stages
Dude, I love
most
Yeah,
most
I
of the
know.
time. Anyways,
it's a lot of fun.
Smash.
Are we
Bros.
ready for the next category?
Most improved, brought to you by Monster Hunter World.
Nick, did you
is
do
the
your
name of the
runner-up?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Well, yeah, my runner-up was Red Dead. But honorable mentions for...
Oh, yeah. Wait, what was your winner?
my winner... What was my winner was... Fuck, what category are we on?
Best most
sequel.
improved. Did we do
God of
yours?
War. God of War.
God of War.
We're
yeah.
still in
Okay.
category 2. That was a while ago.
No, okay.
I mean, I will say that
Oh,
Monster
Jesus,
Hunter
you're right.
World
Yeah.
definitely does deserve some credit for that. I didn't pick it just because, like, I don't feel like I have enough perspective on previous Monster Hunter to really.
That
say
was another reason why I
And
didn't
there's a
include
lot
7
of
billion
people, I
humans.
think, who would be real, like, who would take some serious issue with that because I don't know because
Ed, I'm officially
Fucking
bumping
assholes.
God of War from my list. Monster Hunter wins for me.
that
While my runner-up
Wait,
is,
you're not... You can't do that.
is
Don't.
Yakuza 6. I just did it!
Ed,
Court Reporter, Strike, my original from the record.
Ed, don't you do it.
Monster Hunter World
He said it.
is the best sequel, most improved.
It's set in stone.
I got
It's too
honorable
late.
mentions: Red Dead 2, Hitman 2, and I put Into the Breach.
Well, so
Kind
what?
of a sequel.
Come
You
on.
son of a bitch.
No,
Hey, that's why it's an honorable mention. It's not a
I
winner
will
or
say,
a
like,
runner-up.
so I agree. I mean, Hitman 2, I mean, I love it as a sequel. I just don't see it as, like, most improved or anything. Also,
That's why it's not my runner-up.
same
or
with, like,
winner.
Guacamelee 2. I'd like to give a mention here, but it's not really, like...
So don't get me
Metal
wrong.
Gear Survive.
Fuck you.
Okay.
I love the time I spent with Guacamelee 2. For me, that felt like a huge DLC for Guacamelee.
It did. I mean,
yes.
sorry. Okay, you know what? Sorry.
It's too good for that.
Sorry.
though.
It
It's
is.
too-
It's.
I'm not saying it's bad.
It is like a 15,
I-
16-hour experience on its
I
own.
said huge. I
No,
said
you know what?
huge.
You know what? Hang on.
I mean, you could say
It's
about
just-
hang
Hitman
on.
2 for
Just
sure.
like more Guacamelee.
Spider-Man deserves honorable mention too.
Whoa. As a
Spider-Man.
sequel to
As
Spider-Man
a sequel
2?
to other Spider-Man games, yes.
Sure. Yeah. That's fair.
Sure.
That's a fair assessment.
I'd like to quickly throw out as honorable mention, Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom is not like a direct sequel, but as a spiritual successor to that series. Those were traditionally like very simple, shorter games. This one is like, 20 hours plus, while, you could finish an older Monster Hunter game in like 5 hours. So
I wish I could
It's-
talk
it's-
about that game.
it's kind of a big deal. I guess if you really
That
want to consider it
Monster
as
Boy,
a sequel, but Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom, absolutely
Hey,
incredible game.
Can you scroll back up
'Cause
to
you said
Ed's
Monster
choices?
Hunter.
I think he.
I said
posted
Monster
them.
Boy.
No, in the middle you said
Monster Boy and the Cursed
maybe.
Kingdom.
I know.
I don't
you
know,
said
maybe he didn't.
You said
Oh wait, no,
Everyone
he had a
most
long
Monster
list.
Hunter games
There
can
it
be
is.
completed in
Real
5
quick.
hours.
Real quick, Ed's runner-ups for this category, or honorable mention, or runner-up was Red Dead Redemption 2. Winner was Valkyria Chronicles 4. Man, Ed loves some Valkyria Chronicles 4. He has also mentioned Overcooked 2, which I didn't get a chance to play, and Pokemon Let's Go.
Okay.
Interesting.
Cool.
He's the only one on the site who played Pokemon Let's Go.
Least improved? That was the category?
No,
Most
this is
improved.
Proof of Smash. We talked about that. Advance Wars.
All right, next category is moving on to category 3. Best new gameplay experience. This is kind of like a game that is mechanically speaking fresh. It feels like a fresh new experience. Brad,
So my runner-up, this is where I'm going to make my mention of Astrobot, because I think it's more than just level design. It's that whole experience of being in VR and finding... You're not just playing through like a cool Mario Galaxy style level, but it's really all about using VR, using your head tracking to find
keep track of your character
the
and
bots.
secrets. Yeah,
Find the bots and
finding
that
bots was like the most fun shit.
exactly. And
Yeah.
I would say it's one of the best fresh gameplay experiences of the year.
So I'm gonna go ahead and you keep doing this to me, Brad. My winner is Astrobot.
Oh, there you go.
I know.
I'm sorry, Nick.
No, it's okay.
You can go first next
Nah, it's fine.
episode next.
I'm
part
not
2.
worried about it.
Okay.
But yeah, dude, Astrobot is great. I honestly feel a little guilty here though, because technically speaking, I felt this way about Moss when I played it.
But that's a little different.
I know, but like it was for me that first time I experienced playing a platformer, having to look around things in the environment to find your character and to find things.
It's one of those things where I think originally, I don't know the original concept of it, but the HoloLens was kind of that concept of having like a 3D environment and like going into it. Yeah, and so VR, everything we've seen VR up until the past like year was first person this, it's keep talking and nobody explodes. Yeah. It's static. It's don't get me wrong, Super Hot's amazing, but I mean it's a first person thing. These are some of the first games, like you said, Moss, like Astrobot, where you're like physically a being in this world.
You're like the camera, in the most like organic way possible.
And the only reason I brought up Moss is because I feel like it did those things, but so rarely. And then I played Astrobot, and it's like just the entire experience.
It's just different, and a lot of times like the quote unquote like secrets of Moss or finding the scrolls, they could be a little tricky or whatever, right? But in Astrobot, like the core gameplay is finding these robots, and they feel it feels like they're all secrets. So it's like finding secrets is the gameplay, and you do that with your body, and like it's always clever. You find dozens and dozens of these dudes throughout the course of the game, but they're always surprising you in cool ways as to like where they are, the ways you find them.
Wait a second.
Later,
was this your runner-up?
This was my runner-up.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Brad! What's your winner?
Oh well, I went into detail because it's also
I know it's my winner.
Yeah. My winner for best gameplay experience, hard to describe. It is the puzzle-like strategy of Into the Breach.
Oh, okay. Actually, just a heads up, someone in chat, I think it was Gamer Rebek, just mentioned Into the Breach would be his winner as well.
Exactly. So the sort of the twist with Into the Breach is that it shows you all of the moves that the enemy's going to do in the next turn. So it's not about like sort of, predicting and planning. It's about reacting. It turns like maybe a traditional grid-based strategy game into more of a puzzle and mitigating damage not to you but to the city. You're trying to protect the cities. It's like
sometimes it is to you.
Sometimes you take the damage for the city.
Now that I think about it, Into the Breach is how you do a Superman game.
Oh my god!
Yeah, man, you could do a Superman strategy game, Into the Breach style. That would actually be kind of sick. That would be kind of sick.
That would be pretty dope.
Yeah,
would there be an option to take the enemy and point them at buildings?
Or like a Justice League game like that.
Yeah, Justice League game. Yeah, there you go.
Like if the enemy on the next turn is going to shoot a laser and you can take that enemy's head and point it at a building.
And you are Batman directing the rest of the Justice League because he's the smart one.
You're up at the what is the base?
The Watchtower.
The Watchtower up in space.
Yeah.
It'd probably be more like Martian Manhunter.
Okay, you're a nerd. Yeah. All right. No, but seriously, Into the Breach is brilliant. It's the way that you can... Every turn, it seems like all is lost. Like, well, that's it. I'm done. But you just stare at it sometimes for like 5 minutes, but it's like 5 exciting minutes of you trying to, play chess and think 2 moves ahead.
It is like a chess game.
And when you finally not just like protect the cities, but you come up with some clever plan to like, wait a minute, I'm not just going to protect the city. I'm going to make this alien attack his alien friend, and he's going to be on a spawn point, and his alien friend's going to spawn into his ass and kill him. And it's like you feel like a mastermind. You feel like a genius. And that sort of twist on taking, that traditional strategy gameplay and turning it into a puzzle is that gameplay experience that I guess I appreciated most. A new gameplay experience that I appreciated most in 2018.
Ed would like to add that the 1-turn redo per battle is a super awesome addition as well.
Yeah, for noobs.
Like me.
I don't make mistakes.
Like me. Nolan, what's your runner-up?
My runner-up for best new gameplay experience is Return of the Obra Dinn.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, I wanted to put this here, but I didn't know how to put it into words.
So yeah, and I was thinking about it, and I'm trying to think about without obviously spoiling anything. But it's going into this game. It wasn't what I expected. First of all,
yeah,
I'd heard other people talk about it before, and I feel like it wasn't explained in a good way that made me excited. And it wasn't until I was like,
It's a hard game to explain.
it is. And it wasn't until I was maybe like half an hour into the game that it just like the hooks just fucking sank in me. And the scenario was I was like, hey Bernadette, I've heard there's this cool puzzle game. It's from the guy who did Papers, Please. Obviously it's going to be good.
Wait, that's the guy who did Papers, Please?
Yeah, Lucas Pope.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah. And so I was like, you have to play this game with me. I can't really explain it because I don't really know much about it. And she was like, okay. And then we sat down and we played the game in like 2 sittings. But it was just one of those things where the act of like the discovery. It's the mechanic of the memento mortem.
Memento Mori?
Memento mori? Is that what it's called?
Mortis, I think.
Whatever it is, the remembering death, the little compass you have, just using that to interact with the bodies, to find another clue, to go to the next scene, is that puzzle mechanic.
It made me realize how much I long for more games with like really well developed detective mechanics.
Oh yeah,
like my favorite parts of like Arkham Knight are like the very few scenes where you get to like break down a crime scene and like reverse engineer it and shit. Even though that's like totally different, I was like, this game did that kind of shit in like a really unique way.
But this game has elements, and I can't believe it if it's not the case that this have elements of like the board game Clue.
Yeah.
Of something, this device was used in this room, but who used it and who did they use it on? And it's just like kind of solving and putting these pieces together slowly over time to like solve the mystery.
I was thinking like, how did he develop this, and like how did he like wrap his mind like what he was like? He's like, how do you do this in such a way that like that works? Like, how do you communicate to the player like that they got something right and prevent them from just wildly guessing? And it's like it's the addition of making you only giving you answers when you've correctly identified three.
It's a smart way to do it.
Like it's brilliant. It's fucking brilliant.
And then my winner for best new gameplay experience is Tetris Effect.
Oh fuck! I still don't know.
Never played Tetris before, Nolan?
Yeah. Just the way that they took a game that's literally not the oldest game, but one of the oldest in... Who in the world doesn't fucking know Tetris? Yeah. Who doesn't know the fucking theme song?
Iconic.
Yes. And changing it to make it new. And it's not just the fact that it's in VR. It's the way that the music interacts with how... the changes to what you're doing. And how they've added, the challenges of the pieces changing. And the board flipping upside down or moving this way or whatever. Just all these different mechanics that just take it to the next level.
I have a question for both of you. Would y'all say that the integration of the music with the puzzle mechanics of Tetris is every bit as addicting or thrilling as like Lumines?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Because
definitely.
Lumines I could not put down, and a lot of it had to do with the way the music
same
like
thing. I mean, the puzzle mechanics are almost like arbitrary to.
Every time I think about Tetris Effect
what
now,
makes those games great?
Every time I think about Tetris Effect now, I picture Brad sitting in a completely dark room at 2 a.m.
Well, it's funny you say that because
that's why
it'll come up in a later category.
But yeah, I thought it was one of those things where when the demo came out for it, I was like, I'll play it because there's a demo. I didn't have any idea how fucking excited.
Did you pick up the full version?
Yes, and I didn't beat it. Don't worry about that noise. I didn't finish. Yeah, it's fucking hard. But
it's definitely something I'm gonna try soon on my VR.
Oh yeah, it's fucking good. I mean, like I said, you don't have to play it in VR. It's not like a requirement. But
I recommend it in VR.
But yes, if you have VR, yes, please.
Crispy, what's your runner-up?
My runner-up for best gameplay experience is Astrobot.
New gameplay experience.
My runner-up for best new gameplay experience is Astrobot.
Oh, I thought he was going to change his game.
Rescue Mission.
Yeah, he just like name drops a different game. It's like, well, that changes everything.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking revelatory.
And yeah.
And my winner is the only correct answer this year.
Return of the
Oberdin.
Yeah.
You've never played a game like Return of the Oberdin.
No. It's true.
And no game has, again, kind of like what you were talking about, detective mechanics, no game has really like cut to the core of what is essential about like an information gathering game like Return of the Oberdin, in that most games, like you mentioned, Batman Arkham Knight having like crime scene investigations, and I use that term very
I think I
liberally.
use quotations as well.
Nick did.
Because
It seems like a joke
it is
in
really
comparison,
really
honestly.
more just like an interactive cutscene. It's
Yeah.
an interactive
It's
exposition.
very similar
They-
to Her Story
There,
in the sense that it's out of order and you're trying
well,
to put
her story is a completely different answer to that same problem.
Oh, yeah.
Her story's answer to the problem of like how do you gamify a detective like synthesis of
gathering,
information is to just not care at all. is to like have no gameplay element of it whatsoever.
Easy.
I guess that's
No.
to an extent, yeah.
What I'm saying is there's no gamification of completing sets of information in Her Story. You get new search terms, you can use those to find more information, but the game doesn't really care or reward you ever figuring it out.
Yeah, but that's also sort of like
That's an
core to
answer.
the
That's an
thematic-
answer. That's great.
the
I'm not
theme.
saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that is one philosophy on how to answer it. What like Batman Arkham Knight does is it kind of is just trying to like get you to see certain things before it gives you exposition, which isn't really you. It's you gathering information and then the game putting it all together for you. So it's kind of like taking the most critical part of an investigation and taking it out of your hands, just because they want you to have the information for the story to go forward. Those sequences are really cool, like they're very effective, but it's not what I would consider
it's
an investigation. Oberdin, the entire game exists in the space between you gathering information and you synthesizing answers.
Yeah.
It
submitting. I mean, you're
But you're coming to
no.
conclusions.
Yeah, you have to synthesize the information into new information. You have to take the raw data that you're getting and you have to use it to build a picture. And you and that whole the mechanic of that is the list. And that is like one of the only games I can think of that really tries to put the game of solving, a murder in that space instead of it being all about just finding the information.
I agree with y'all completely on Oberdin. Only reason I didn't have it here is because it's sort of a different category for me, even though it's for similar reasons. That's fine. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Nick?
So I already mentioned. Yeah, my winner was Astrobot, but my runner-up was actually 7 Billion Humans.
Oh.
Mostly just because I've never played a game that took something like programming, something that I'm loosely familiar with.
But you played Quadrilateral Cowboy.
Not a lot. I played the demo of it.
Dude,
Oh no, I played it. I played
You
it.
gotta play that game. That game is
No,
so
sorry,
fucking good.
never mind. I played. I broadcasted that once.
Did you finish it?
Cowboy.
I didn't finish it. No.
You gotta finish
And I
They're
liked
very
it. Don't get
different.
me wrong.
I mean,
I liked it a lot.
7 Billion Humans is like very much about the programming. Quadrilateral Cowboy, it's almost like
No, I don't give a shit about that. I'm just saying you gotta play Quadrilateral.
No, I get it.
Cowboy.
I get it.
That
It's
he's
game's
got to play a
incredible.
lot of things crispy.
That game's incredible.
So do you.
Crispy. At least he owns Quadrilateral Cowboy.
Yeah, it is one of the best
I
games
own
he
it
owns.
too.
No, I'm just
Fuck
saying.
both of you guys.
This
I
was a
played it.
callback to the topic.
Oh.
The best game Nick owns.
At least the best game.
best
that
game Nick at least owns.
Yeah.
At least.
Fuck y'all.
Still in
At
the
least I
plastic.
own 7 Billion Humans, and that game is dope. Next category.
Honorable mentions.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I put Subnautica, Pit People, and Beat Saber.
Yeah, I
That was
completely
that was
agree on-
Ed's winner. Ed brought up in chat that his winner for best new gameplay experience was Beat Saber.
I completely agree on Pit People. There's like a certain flow to that I've never really experienced in a strategy game, and it feels really unique to Beat Saber. I have an honorable mention. What are we on? Gameplay experience? Oh, you said Subnautica, right?
Yeah.
Just like the whole loop or the whole feeling of being underwater, but like the prawn suit specifically was an experience that felt so unique to me.
Well, I think it's
Even though I was underwater, I felt so like locked to the ground, and I had to instantly think about the world differently.
I mean, you were talking about people comparing this to Minecraft, but you can't, because in this game, similar to Minecraft, you start and you're just kind of going around and collecting things and building things, but then you get your little what is the hover thing, the thing you grab onto that drives you around? Not the Seamoth.
No, the little pulley,
Whatever that.
Oh,
you
yeah.
get that device, and that changes how you interact with the world. And then you get the Seamoth, and that changes things. And then you get the prawn suit, and you know what I'm saying? You're completely, as you go on, completely changing how you interact with this world. Whereas in Minecraft, that doesn't really happen. You just build new shit.
Yeah.
And you get a minecart. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like the way
That
You interact.
that gameplay experience evolves over
yeah.
time, and it's fantastic.
That
is also
that evolution arc.
that is also an honorable mention for me. Also, Return of the Obra Dinn is an honorable mention for me for a lot of the reasons that Crispy just mentioned.
Next category.
All right.
Next
think that's
category.
it.
3 categories down.
This is our last category for our first break and our reveal of our first soundtrack of the year during the break. Best game feel. This is a new category for us. This is going to be just the game that ultimately ends up feeling the best to you to control. It may be one thing in particular, or it may be just a group of things that make the game ultimately feel
Best
really
game
rewarding.
to put your hands on.
Yeah, best game to put your fucking hands on.
Brad, what is your runner-up for
Like
best?
fucking Trials or something. I will say this is another category where I had a lot of like honorable mentions. A lot of games felt really good this year for me. For me though, my runner-up is Beat Saber. Something about just like it's a combination of the feedback you're getting from the game, but also like the vibration from the move controllers. It just feels really good to play. Even though I don't like love the music or the mechanics.
which game is this?
Beat Saber
Okay.
in VR.
That's my winner.
Okay, that's your winner.
Yeah,
okay,
just trying to get
it
in
just like
Motherfuckers playing Beat Saber.
there's
I've
a
never even
certain
tried.
I played a lot of games in VR, but there's a certain like magical feel that they really nailed here, and I think that's why people are so addicted to Beat Saber.
Nick,
Like
you want to play it during the break?
Maybe.
there is like a like you could tell that a lot of smart people made a lot of smart decisions to make this game feel perfect.
so,
But
Brad-
like when you cross the sabers,
And it vibrates.
it is like it does it in such a way that makes you feel like you're
So-
actually holding lightsabers.
So
Although you
like
couldn't
a
cross
little over a
lightsaber.
year ago, I played a game. I can't remember what it was called, but it was like an indie game on my friend's Vive, and it was a similar concept to this:
Yeah.
that things are coming at you and you have to hit them. And I didn't really. The cool thing about it was it was
Fruit Ninja.
indie, and you could upload any song,
Yeah.
and it'll automatically do it. But because of that, it didn't feel right. It kind of felt weird. It wasn't ever. Beat Saber, obviously, every level is completely catered and customized, and yes, it feels good. When you're doing it, yeah, like you said, when the saber hits something, when a wall comes at you and you dodge, but the saber hits the wall and it does a little vibration,
it
you're
just-
hitting it. When you're doing something and you cross them, it doesn't. It kind of feels like they're physically there.
Yeah.
The haptic feedback you get, and yes, you can cross them and go through them, but
Like actually like holding them together. And
yeah, and just like feeling it vibrate, or like when you do a certain move and you like swipe at a downward angle and it hits the ground and it feels like you have fucking lightsabers cutting through the ground and
you
stuff.
just feel like sexy Darth Maul when you're playing that game.
Definitely.
Anyways, my winner,
Ed says Beat Saber's his winner.
Nice.
my best winner for best game feel is a game that I don't think anybody else here really played, but it's Overload. You played a little bit of this in the past, right?
Yeah.
Overload is a throwback game that is very much channeling Descent 1 and 2.
Descent-like.
It's a Descent-like, but it is very much Descent. And it is a game that just feels so good to move around that world, to flip around and like twist around, and the
This
level
is the game
design.
that made me think of Forsaken, isn't it?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that is the Descent like you
degrees.
played in
Yes.
your life.
Yes.
It is that type of game.
That's the only Descent like I've ever played.
But like I think
Axie.
I think more than any other game this year, I kept going back to it throughout the year just because I liked the way it felt to move around that world. The feedback you get from all the different weapons, and there's so many different missile types and stuff, and just the way enemies get hit and fucking bounce around and explode. Everything just felt so fucking good on a physical, visceral level. And I think that is actually the best part of Overload. Also has great level design, by the way, like a lot of things this year. But getting my hands on that ship, just thinking about it, makes me want to fucking play it right now. And I think that's the sign of something that just feels right. And they nailed it. They nailed it.
Nice.
Overload is my winner.
I would like to try that too. Nolan, what's your runner-up?
Ed's a Philistine.
My
He probably
runner-up
used a
for
little-
best game feel is Into the Breach,
Yeah,
and the
I
reason
was
is
considering
the
this.
reason is all of the different mechs and how they interact with each other, and how like I every time I unlocked a new set of mechs, and I even unlocked a new set when I was capturing some footage. It was one of the games that we have on that we need to capture footage at the end of the year, and I had just recently gotten a new a kind of achievement, and so I had enough coins to unlock a new set of mechs, and I unlocked a new set I hadn't even played yet. And it's just how these mechs, and how there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 different sets, seven or eight different
Eight
sets.
sounds right.
8 sets of mechs, all completely different styles, and they interact different ways. Yeah, different
yeah.
abilities, and just how all of them are so well balanced. And it's just like, this one's all about smoke. Oh, this one's all about pushing and pulling. This one's all about like slowing down the enemy.
Did this game come up in the category of best world design or earlier level design?
I think so. It was one of my runners up,
because that reminded me too. Like, I think one thing that's super impressive about this game is the fact that the size of the playing field never changes, but it always feels unique.
Oh yeah, it's just like how you can use destroy the dam, flood the area. Oh, pull. There's certain where water's moving, and so what, I don't need to defeat that enemy.
Yeah.
I just need to stop them from moving this round, because then they'll die next round. Or I just need to push them one space back. Or like the group I unlocked most recently focused on one guy could pull people, one guy could push people away from a projectile, and the other guy fucking like suplex them.
Yeah.
And so it was all about moving enemies around to get them where you wanted them to be. And you didn't just, it's not just I can push enemies. I can push my guy. I can pull my guy into a position, have him do an attack, and then have my other guy push him into a position. It's just the way these mechanics interact with each other and the world and the enemies. It was
I think Into the Breach is the closest thing to like video game chess I've ever seen.
Besides chess.
Besides actual
video game chess.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
I recommend Advance Wars. But yes.
All right, Crispy.
My runner-up for best game feel is Celeste.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a good one.
There was a lot of really good platforming games this year.
Yep.
And Celeste was the best in terms of
just the visceral feel of moving around and jumping and
yeah.
I was watching some, because I haven't played it myself, but I was watching some footage and stuff to see if it was something I should find time for, which I think I should.
Yeah, you should. That's really
and
fun.
just like watching, there's a lot of timing, a lot of really specific, like precise timing, which is very much like why I enjoyed Guacamelee 2 a lot.
Which also has really great platforming.
The combination of like your lateral dashing and the fact that you can just like grab onto walls and climb up them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's a really fun game to just play.
Really caringly tuned.
Really.
Oh
very,
yeah.
Very,
every position of the little diamonds that give you the extra jump, the golden feathers later on in the game where you can do your like flying stuff, like all of it's just like so well, like clearly a lot of time was spent on that.
Yeah.
It's pretty nuts.
What's your winner?
And my winner for best game feel is Spider-Man.
Ooh, that's my runner-up.
Everything about that game, everything physical.
Dude,
is that what I would say?
When I was recording
like
footage
swinging,
the other day,
yeah,
like I found a new like interaction with the environment when you're naturally like running that I had never seen before. I hit a building and started running straight up it, but I ended up hitting the building right underneath one of the what do you call it? The fire escapes, and he starts running across the fire escape.
No, he's like pulling himself up the fire escape.
Yeah, and I was like, I played that game for 40 plus hours, and I never did that. And I was like, that's fucking
40
insane.
hours.
Yeah.
I guess you did DLC.
Yeah, I did all the DLC.
Yeah, no, fucking. Yeah, swinging was fucking fantastic in that game, but not just that, like combat. Felt so cool. Like you just felt like such a badass in every single combat. Like just the combination between like his different moves and
sticking
and the
people with
gadgets.
your web to like objects and
Dude,
walls
always
felt really
like
good.
never got old.
Oh,
never
yeah.
like
Yeah,
using the power web to just like stick someone to a wall.
Slipping just sliding under their legs also
Yeah,
never got
like
old.
throwing bombs, like picking people up, swinging them around.
While completely overpowered, Web Blossom always felt good.
Yep,
Yeah,
I was still using that all the way to the end of the last DLC.
Because it was broken.
I stopped using Web Blossom pretty early
Because
on,
it's
actually.
broken.
But yeah, I mean, like to take like that Batman Arkham style combat and to make it feel like I think it feels a little better.
I
than
think it does.
I am surprised that a Batman game was
Not
the
like
first game
leaps
that we
and bounds, but a little bit. Don't make that fucking
But
face.
it was the first game that we got essentially Spider Sense.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like how was that? I mean, I think
all of that feel makes more sense in this game than it does in
yeah.
Batman. Like they found a really beautiful way of making Batman combat, but like it makes more sense in the Spider-Man world.
Yeah.
Like with his moveset, his power set, like it makes total sense in Spider-Man.
Well, it's not that it didn't make any sense in Batman.
I'm not saying it didn't make any
like,
sense,
it was
but
good
it
in
makes
Batman.
more sense in Spider-Man.
It was fine. I mean, sure, but I don't know. That's a weird flex. But the fucking combat in Spider-Man is just like
So good.
It never gets old. Like it never gets old. Like just doing like doing demon hideouts. Like I was always like looking for the next one just because clearing out hideouts
Repetitive but satisfying.
So what
it
I
was
would say-
repetitive, I guess, in the way that like any
But-
game is repetitive.
but
So, similar to like how in God of War I got better and better about chaining my abilities and doing this. In Spider-Man I got better and better, and I remember there was one of those like hideouts that was like one of the challenges was because I mean I platinumed this game. I got everything, and so one of the challenges was get a combo of this many things, but it was the saber guys. And those guys were so fucking annoying sometimes when they would just a random shot and you get hit. And it was like, I can't remember what it was. It was like 100 or something. Get a combo of 100. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to try this like 40 times to get it. And on my second try, I got a combo of like 160. I was fucking demolishing them. And it felt so good.
Yeah,
Just
when I first started Spider-Man, I kind of hated the combat, and I thought it felt bad. But then as you get good at it, you really start to feel like
dude,
Spider-Man.
it is so fucking dope.
Like nothing, no game has ever captured. So if you think back to like the first time you saw like, maybe any of the Spider-Man movies, but like that feeling where you just like he's like flipping over people's heads, and like you get that feeling where like everything kind of slows down, and he's kind of like seeing everything like everything's moving slow, but he's like moving in real time. You get that feeling in this game like every time you go into combat.
Let me tell you right now, if anyone out there hasn't played Spider-Man yet, do it, but go into the menu, turn off QTEs. That game is a lot more enjoyable when they're off. I'm just gonna let you know that, right?
Yeah, I did that too.
So that you can turn off QTEs during
turn
boss
up to
fights,
autocomplete.
and then autocomplete.
Yeah.
So when you're trying to
You
catch
just
a
get to
car,
watch
Nick,
a
you know
cool
when you
cutscene.
catch a car and you're like,
yeah.
you can turn that off, and it's so much better.
Yeah, you're probably right. But there's something
that's fucking
there's something
lame.
rewarding about that.
That's fucking lame.
I did finish.
Spider-Man shouldn't have that much
my,
trouble catching a car.
I did finish all 3 of the DLCs
Spider-Man's not
recently.
invincible. He's not fucking
no,
Superman.
we're not getting into powers.
Okay. I did want
Winner?
to make. I did want to. No, that was the winner.
Okay.
I want to make an honorable mention of. Oh my fucking God! You
What?
just knocked it out.
Think about it because we do them after Nick. Think
hasn't
about
done
it
yet.
because we do them after Nick.
All right, I'm gonna get a lot of pushback for this. I feel
Uh-oh.
Oh, you feel? Oh no, Red
Oh.
Dead.
my winner is Red Dead Redemption 2.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. There's a deliberateness,
but
there.
it's less about specifically how it feels to control the character and more of how it feels to exist in the world. Like
You're a
I
big
have
fan of
never
getting washed by ladies.
I have never played a game that I have felt more immersed in, more like just part of the world happening around me. Like I would play this game
from a gameplay perspective, though, we're
yes,
talking about. Okay.
yes. I would go hunting and I would do it for hours, and I would just like you had to like drag me away from that game, and like
I
it just.
know, but we're not.
But I'm saying,
No,
I'm attributing
There's a
that
lot of stuff in that game. I mean, people have been giving that game shit mechanically, but there's a lot of things control wise that you can do. Like there's like moments that are fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
Like I think I don't know. I really like. I think people get really annoyed with like the whole single action thing on like the revolvers and shit, where like you fire a gun and then he has to like
reload
cock
it.
the
Yeah,
hammer and then
yeah.
like. But I fucking love that.
I love the
there's
attention to
nothing
detail
like,
on that.
Like so many like just drawing your pistol, him like pulling the hammer back and you like shooting and killing a guy, like a single shot. I don't think has ever felt that good.
Also, there's so many moments where you are in a combat scenario, or there's someone else alive in an area, or someone's coming after you, don't know it, and then they like shoot at you, and then you like split second like react, and you like fire a gun, and like you see it like hit them, and then they fall off balance, and like just random like shit just kind of unfolds naturally, and like that happens like so many fucking times in that game.
Like
It's
using a
amazing.
lasso to take somebody down in hog time, or like execute them or something like that is fucking great. And you can double tap fucking R1 or whatever for him to like spin his gun and put it away.
As soon as I learned
automatically.
as soon as I learned
All the
that,
time.
every time I put my gun away, just
Yeah.
You know what though? Well, hey, agree to disagree, but I will say I think
Stabbing someone.
more than half the people who hate the way this game feels and plays probably wouldn't have been so hard on it if you could just run through camp.
Maybe.
I
And
get you there.
I truly believe that.
Whatever.
But and I understand. Well, I understand the frustration
I
with that.
hated that.
I understand the frustration with not being able to run through camp, but I also, again, applaud them for wanting to keep you like they want that everything in this game they want to feel authentic and real, and it's like. You don't
Cowboys
walk
not run?
You don't
Like-
run around camp with with
Yeah,
coffee.
like every fucking complaint about shit like that, it just feels
you wouldn't
like
be running around camp. in
it
the real
feels
world.
like
You wouldn't
such
be doing
a
it.
base, like lizard brain reaction to like some bullshit. Like it, like that is so missing the fucking point.
We were talking about game feel. That's
I
it.
know,
Game
but
feel.
like
And
the
I'm
fact
not-
that
I'm
like
also-
Feels
that,
bad
the
that I
fact
can't
that
run
that's
out
like
of
a
camp.
thing that you feel is like
Not
the
emo-
problem.
Physically,
That like that you're so
it feels bad to me.
I don't want to start an argument about this. I do want to.
This is a good. I mean, this is where we talk
No,
about
I
the
get
way
it.
Red
I get
Dead
it.
feels. so.
And I knew I was going to get pushed. I know this is very divisive in terms
No, I'm
of
with
that
you, Nick.
specific thing.
I'm with you.
Thank you. I agree. I appreciate that.
Lizard brain, you're an asshole. I just want to get to where I'm
I
fucking
just
going.
mean like I just mean it's like such a like
We're talking about game feel.
And
That's it.
and me giving this my winner does not also mean that I didn't have problems with the way it felt at times. But
you
there,
have the option to walk if you want. Not saying it had to be running all the time.
I'm just saying I don't think it's perfect, but I think it is one of the most unique feeling games I've ever played because of how much attention to detail there actually is. Let's move on. We need to take a break.
You didn't say your winner.
That was my winner.
I thought that was your runner.
No, my Spider-Man was my winner.
Oh, gotcha.
So let's take a break. We're gonna, as we usually do when we take breaks, we play a track from our favorite soundtrack of the year. Few tracks. Let's do Crispy's first. Crispy, you want to introduce your soundtrack?
no.
Please do.
My winner for soundtrack of the year goes to Chasm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a good. It is a damn
There was a
good-
lot
damn
of
fine
really,
soundtrack.
really, really good soundtracks this year, and it was very difficult to decide. But the first track you're gonna hear in particular was one that just kind of like, I don't know. It just echoes in my soul. Like I can't
this
explain
the-
it.
Is this
The main track, the first one we're gonna hear is Karthus. It is the
the
overworld.
the town?
Yeah, the town theme.
It's fantastic. All right, so we're gonna play 2 tracks from that. When that's over, we'll be back and we'll continue with 4 more categories. So don't go anywhere if you're watching us live. All right, welcome back to the show, everybody. We are 4 categories in. We are moving on to our next category. I hope you guys enjoyed the soundtrack. First of all, during the break, that was Crispy's soundtrack of the year, which is for Chasm. And I think next up on the next break, we're going to be playing my soundtrack of the year. So stick around for that. But first, we have 4 more categories to go through. Our next category is Best New Enemy Design. Is this a new category? I think this is.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah, Best
Although
New
I
Enemy
think
Design.
last year we lumped in like enemy design with like bosses in the same category.
Yeah, so you're gonna hear some new categories tonight, and this I think is one of them, or at least it was born from different categories. So
Man, I didn't mention.
Brad?
We just rolled right over honorable mentions for that last category.
Well, too late. Can't go backwards.
sorry,
Only
we were
forwards.
talking about Red Dead, so which is my fault. So let's move right along, Brad.
Okay.
What is your runner up for best
My
new
runner
enemy
up for
design?
best new enemy design is the Wendigo from Dusk, which is sort of a play on like a classic Doom enemy type. You know, they had the Pinky Demons, but then they had the invisible versions from Doom, right? And the Wendigo is an invisible enemy, right? But unlike in Doom where you could actually kind of see like the outline or whatever, it was still like really scary, right? Because all of a sudden this very in your face enemy is like invisible. Well, in this game, they're completely invisible and you can hear their breathing. And it's like kind of like a charging breathing, like they're running at you.
Oh, that would freak me out.
Completely invisible. And so you're kind of just like spraying and praying because when you shoot these things, they appear, right? And you don't know when they're going to appear because you don't know how close to you they are. And when they do, it's sort of like this like undead, it's like a Wendigo, but it has like a skull for a face. and it makes that classic like horror movie like violin like shriek like when they appear.
So it's
so you go into a room and it's often dark. I mean, like the horror element of Dusk is like very strong, like more so than even Doom. And you get into a dark room and you hear that sound, and you just pull out an assault rifle, just start spraying the room, and oftentimes you hear that sound, that that horror movie sound, and it's like right in your face, and you're like, oh my god. And sometimes there's like more than one Wendigo. It's just a really cool enemy design, which is sort of a twist on a classic.
That sounds cool. I definitely did not get to the point where I met those characters.
Yeah, I guess you can see their footsteps, but when you're playing Dusk, you're moving so fast and not even thinking about looking at the ground. But yeah, it's really creepy, really cool, very memorable enemy in that game. Of a game full of a lot of actually cool enemies. I might give it
another try. We'll see what happens.
You absolutely fucking should. My winner though is, and I've talked a little about this before. It is the new mortar unit in Valkyria Chronicles 4, and the reason they're so effective as an enemy is because it all of a sudden, the on the ground like gameplay when you're running your character around sort of comes to life. Yeah. And no longer are you just sort of running to to the enemies you want to shoot or the camp or lining up a sniper shot. It just sort of the indirect mortar fire that comes at you while you're running across the battlefield, like it makes it come to life.
Yeah.
In a way that it felt kind of like stagnant.
More like an active battlefield.
It makes it feel like more of an active battlefield, and it's a legitimate threat to like especially slower characters, because it's the kind of thing where if you're moving, I see Ed likes it too. If you're moving fast enough, you can dodge that stuff. So a scout if a scout takes a shot from a mortar unit, you're fucked. Especially because it's going to disorient you and you're probably going to get hit again. But if you're running fast enough, they'll be going off around you and you might get where you need to go. But if you're playing like a slower unit, like your own grenadier, your own mortar unit, and someone's shooting mortar fire at you, you're fucked. So there's like a whole new level of threat of interception fire that never really existed before. And I think the mortar unit, especially when you don't know where they are, but it's coming at you, really changes the dynamic of the way you approach the battles in this game. And I absolutely love it. I think that I was really skeptical at first, but the inclusion of that unit, especially what they do to tanks, because later on in the game, they shoot AP rounds at you, which will instantly kill your tank's movement. So it becomes a thing of like, you can't just rush your tank in there, shoot a bunch of guys, and have that be your lead. You got to send in like scouts or guys or lancers to find that mortar unit to take it out before you can move your tank up. Again, it changes the dynamic in the way you play Valkyria Chronicles, and I think it's a big reason that the missions in VC4 are just as strong as they are.
Aren't they the units that also can cause like avalanches during snow?
Well,
or maybe that's not them specifically. Well, I don't remember how that works.
Yeah,
it's been a while since
you're probably forgetting, but I mean, you could do a lot with the mortar unit.
Nolan, what is your runner-up?
My runner-up for best new enemy is for loops and if statements.
Oh,
because holy shit,
son of a
dude!
Bitch.
When you're fucking playing 7 billion humans and you're like, oh yeah, this is totally, I'm gonna do this, and I'm put this if here and if this, and then I'm gonna for this, and then all of a sudden it fucking is completely wrong, and you're like,
why are my dudes jumping into shredders?
Yeah, this that game made like I got to the point where I was like, I feel like I understand if statements and for loops and everything like way better than I did before now because of this game, and then I do something and I'm like, nope. I don't got it.
It's
they're
just
fucking killing themselves.
It's one of those scenarios where, like, especially going in, I'm like, oh, dude, I got this, man. This is easy. Whatever. You just do this, and if this, then I want you to do this. And it just completely not at all what I was expecting.
Then you tweak something.
Oh, yeah. When you eventually are able to accomplish that, and you're able to morph the fucking ifs and fors into what you want them to do, and everything runs perfectly. But then you get, like, an off by one error, and, like, you miscalculated something, and they, like, the last guy jumps into, whatever. But anyway, yeah, that's my runner-up. But my winner for best new enemy design is the Vec from Into the Breach.
Yeah, I was thinking about
this. Dude,
I
fucking loved these guys just because they were all like so unique. They did things in
complete... just the alien species?
Yeah, okay. The Vec were the enemies, the bug enemies. Kind of in general. I know it's I couldn't I didn't want to just choose one of them, but that's because they're all so different. You have the enemies that just focus on lobbing stuff, but then you have some that all they focus on is grabbing. They just throw out the little web and
worse. When they do that in turn one.
Yes.
Oh my god! It just ruins everything.
You can't move until you kill them.
Yeah.
But it's all about like you know, but hey, you know, if they're locked onto you, they're not going to attack a building. And it's one of those scenarios where it's like, oh, do I want to, you know, who do I go after first? Do I go after this guy who's about to attack one of my units? Or do I kill the little overlord guy who's giving everyone a free, like, regeneration of their health every turn? Because there's, like, the floating, like, the Scion type enemies if they're alive, next turn every enemy gets a health point back, or while they're alive they have 1 extra health, and it's just like, but they don't damage anything, so it's like they're not the priority because these guys are about to attack this building.
The most brilliant game of tough decision making.
Oh my god, yeah. And so just the way all of those enemies, you're just like, just how they interacted and how it's not always they wouldn't. Some of your enemies weren't like the Vex. Sometimes they were little robot guys who were just causing fucking havoc.
Yeah.
And I thought those were a great, you know, coming from FTL, where all the enemies are pretty simple. You know, they just attack you in a very simple way. They shoot a missile at you, or they come onto your ship and they punch you. In this, it's so much more depth to what the enemies, because their goal,
a lot of variety,
is to like destroy you of the buildings, but if you're in the way, look. And so I don't know, I thought it was really smart in just the way all of the pieces fit together.
It seems so like they can't, there's not like a ton of designs, but they just have all the right designs. Everything's so, it's like they made the chess pieces on a chessboard, and there's no more and no less. Everything just seems perfect in the enemy designs to fuck you in all the worst ways. It's
Yep. All right, Crispy,
fucking
runner up.
My runner up for enemy design.
You might need to move your mic a little bit closer, just FYI.
No, I refuse. My runner up for enemy design goes to pit people.
Oh.
I kind of just like go across the board.
Played this.
Yeah, I fucking did.
Man,
A lot of people play pit people.
no, they didn't.
No one did.
You don't fucking know me. But I just go across the board because there was a lot of really interesting, just like, I mean, a lot of it's just that it's like funny.
Yeah.
You know, not that it's like revolutionary, but that it's like
This is the guy.
Funny.
This is the behemoth. Right?
The main healing unit in the game are like cupcakes that just like fling their frosting at you,
Aww.
and the different type of frosting you put on them does like different effects. Like, I don't know, it's just fucking delightful. Fuck you.
No, you're not wrong.
And my winner. Oh, why didn't I write this down? God damn it! My winner is, wait for it. Which one was it? Oh yeah, was Thronebreaker.
Oh,
Witcher Tales.
Which enemy?
Witcher Tales.
Which was specifically? Which
Again,
enemy?
not really any specific one, but there were a lot of like really interesting like puzzle matches that you have to do in that game. Against specific types of enemies. Like, I don't know, the first one I'm thinking off the top of my head is like the fucking like rabid cows or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's just a lot of like.
Was that the one where the cow was attacking the other cows? Like,
right. But
I never finished that one. I couldn't fucking get it.
Yeah, it's tricky. But like, you had to. I don't even remember what the stipulation was. It was something about like you couldn't let that cow kill another cow.
Yeah, no
like,
other cow could die besides the rabid one.
I mean,
but like it was like blocking with all the other cows.
Dude, there's dozens in that game, and like it goes fucking places with some of the puzzle designs.
A lot of that shit is just fucking nuts.
As you get further in the game, you start to feel really overpowered. I even bumped up the difficulty to the hardest, but the puzzle levels are always like a fuck you. There's one like pretty late in the game that like recreates the mechanics to be like Magic the Gathering style.
Really?
Where you have like mana and you're tapping it to bring out creatures and stuff, and like all of them have like an effect that forces them to like fight another enemy, to interact, to simulate creature fighting. That game is like endlessly clever with the ways
it did a lot of things. Like it took a card game that I honestly didn't think was that deep.
It wasn't before. Now it absolutely is.
Really fucking went places with it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Man. The more I see of that game and hear y'all talk
We'll
about it,
talk
the more I want to
about
play
it a lot on Tuesday.
I'm sure we will. So my runner-up for best new enemy design is actually from Subnautica. And I know a lot of people in chat, I see a lot of people in chat talking about the Mesmers. And I do agree with that. It's an honorable mention for me.
That's an honorable mention. Can we mention why the Mesmers are dope?
Yeah, they're
because they
talk to you. Or
no, they don't talk to you. They hypnotize you, and it makes your little PDA voice, that woman's voice, who tells you like, 30 seconds of oxygen, in that really cool British way. It makes you think that it starts telling you move closer to this enemy.
Yeah,
like your prime directive is to get closer to this enemy.
Yeah,
but it's that enemy fucking hypnotizing you, making you think you're hearing that, and it's super clever. That's one of my.
It's cool, but that's not my runner-up. My runner-up from Subnautica is actually the Leviathans.
Ooh,
specifically because I suffer from thalassophobia. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Yeah, I can't do deep water. It freaks the shit out of me, which is amazing because I love the shit out of this game. But like, I would plan like my expeditions, like I was talking about, with trying to avoid leviathans. And whenever I did come across a room with a leviathan, like, I was fucking terrified. So it's a runner-up purely because they're just massive creatures,
they're huge,
in deep parts of the ocean. That you can, in certain cases, you really can't avoid, and they just evoke a deep level of fear in me that I think makes them special.
Your winner,
but my winner is actually, and this you tell me if this is in the spirit of the category, but the cultists in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. It's more of a system.
Yeah.
But like,
I don't know
the overarching.
No, but they're enemies.
Your primary goal in Odyssey is really to like bring down this cult, and the cultists are on this like web. Like, you go into your menu, you have a web of people. You have to like identify them all. You have to find clues to unmask them. Essentially, once you unmask them, you have to go out into the world, find them, and assassinate them. And there's nothing special. There's nothing special about them in terms of making them different than any other enemy in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but the fact that you have to go through the system of like identifying them, locating them, and in some cases they're just wandering. Like, I found a guy wandering through a market, but I had identified him, and he had like guards like following him, but I was able to wait for him to like turn a corner before his entourage or whatever, and I just jumped out of an alley and like stabbed him and then disappeared, and boom, I was gone. I was like, that's the most assassin shit I've felt in this game in a very long time, and I feel like that's kind of like, for the first time in a while, they've gotten to the core of what Assassin's Creed should kind of be all about, which is fucking assassinating people.
Can I say quick side? On the fucking another podcast, they were talking about this. They were kind of spoiling the end of the story of like the story that involves Pythagoras. Have you done that,
dude? No.
Oh my god!
About his theorem?
Oh, I gotta tell y'all.
No, I'm gonna play that game.
I gotta tell Crispy. I gotta tell someone.
It's
insane.
I'll do it later.
It's insane.
Wait, I want to know. Maybe like insane good.
You would know. It is the end of a storyline for certain characters.
Oh,
don't tell me.
Don't tell me that.
And bad.
I feel this is the same reaction he had when he saw Split.
No, this is crazier than Split.
What? I'm sorry.
Also, I heard Glass kind of
knee-jerk reaction.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's getting
so honorable mentions for me. Crosscode. Some of the enemy designs in that game are pretty sweet. They're pretty varied. The little robot guys you fight that.
You're not wrong. I will say I'm omitting like Crosscode from a lot of my choices, even though just because I've only played so much.
So that's why that's why it's a mention. It's an honorable mention. It's not on my award. And I did give it one like runner up. The reason it's not probably higher is because I've only played like maybe a fourth of the game.
Yeah. Honorable mention for me is the Warper from Subnautica. That's the one that it teleports around
out of your vehicle.
It'll teleport you out of your vehicle, which is horrifying and disorienting.
It's terrifying, especially when you're driving your sub around. You're just driving your sub, and all of a sudden you're like 40 feet away from it, and it's like standing there, like, and you're like, oh fuck, just swim. Yeah, that's pretty creepy when it teleports you out.
Any other honorable mentions here?
I'm good.
All right, our next category is best boss fight. This is actually a pretty decent year for boss fights, I feel.
Well, this category is completely unfair for me, but I'm just being honest with myself because both my runner-up winner and my honorable mention are from the same game. But Monster Hunter is a game of boss fights, and I'm not gonna lie, it is a cut above.
They're fucking badass.
It is a cut above.
Wait, who are your two?
So my runner-up is Nergigante, which is sort of like the face monster of this game. This is the big bad new one. It is the Eater of Elder Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I guess not the one I put on the overlay.
Well, that's Rathos. He's like the most iconic in the whole series. Nergigante specifically to World. It's new.
Is the cover for
the cover monster, if you will. This thing, you do early missions in the game where he just kind of shows up. It's not, you don't have to fight him. You can. I was terrified to even go to where he was hanging out. I was so scared of this thing. But by the end of that game, I made Nergigante my bitch. And I loved fighting Nergigante with my lance, because most people, when he does his dive bomb, you just have to throw down everything and just run and dive or you're going to die. But I leveled up my lancer in such a certain way where I could throw my fucking lance down. I mean, my shield down, sorry, because lancers have shields, and just fucking stuff his shit. And I absolutely loved it. Love fighting Nergigante.
And your winner from Monster Hunter World?
My winner, I'm going to give it to Diablos. Just because this was the first, I think fighting Diablos is when I really started to fall in love with the Lancer. Because Diablos is like fighting a bull. He just sort of runs at you, but he also goes into the ground and like pops up, and he does so much damage. This is like the first real monster in Monster Hunter World, or any Monster Hunter game, that just feels like a horror. Like you just don't want to be around this motherfucker. And again, it's like Nergigante, where you just run scared of this thing because he's so fast and he does so much damage. But as a Lancer, it was like I was fucking bullfighting him. And by the end of the game, I was just sort of dancing underneath his legs. And that's sort of what's great, while stabbing him with my lance. And that's sort of what's, that arc of skill growth is sort of everything in Monster Hunter. That's what makes it great. But these monsters feel so alive. Like, I've never seen so much care and consideration put into the design of the way an enemy moves, its tails. It just feels like a living, breathing creature. And Diablos was just, my favorite one to fight. I absolutely loved it. Even the Black Diablos, which is even more horrifying.
Nice. All right. Nolan, runner-up?
My runner-up is the final boss fight from Astrobot Rescue Mission. Yeah. I thought that where it combined a bunch of the elements of the bosses you fought before, and, it's one of those situations where the whole game, you're playing with, like, the DualShock 4, that's your, like, kind of interaction with the world, and then all of a sudden the boss kind of takes it, and he's like, oh, I have one now too, and he starts really fighting back, and that was a great fucking boss fight. I had a lot of fun.
I think a lot of the boss fights in Astrobot are
really dope. Dude, the shark one, that one was fucking intense.
Dude, that one was
I'm gonna be honest, I actually kind of hated the shark fight.
Really?
Yeah, I
had a hard time with the platforming in that one.
I beat it on my second try
with the waves and
of stuff. Course you did, Nolan.
A lot of great boss fights in that game.
But my winner for best boss fight is from Celeste, the hotel clerk. I think that was World 4, I want to say. But he turns into like the giant head, and he's flying at you. He'll like shoot the laser and then zoom across the screen the whole time you're trying to navigate with the little like furry tentacle thing, so you can only touch a spot once, and as soon as you leave it, if you touch it again, it kills you. Just that whole fucking boss fight was really cool. The way you had to time everything around the enemies on the screen with the boss guy flying around. Really like that one. Mm-hmm. Plus, that boss fight had really good music.
Awesome. Crispy?
My runner-up is a spoiler, I think, for Spider-Man. I don't know.
Is it the final
give
boss?
Everybody a minute.
Wait, do we ever do any spoiler warnings? I mean, like, obviously next show is going to be spoiler heavy.
I just feel like
is
this
it the final
one was
boss?
kind
Is it the final boss fight? Yeah, that's my runner-up as well.
Yeah.
Just say it, like, dude.
Well, just.
I think it's.
I'm gonna give it a nice pregnant beat.
If you don't want the final boss of Spider-Man to be spoiled for you, perhaps mute, and I'll give you a thumbs up when it's okay to unmute your stream.
What about people who are listening to our podcast?
You're screwed.
It's no big surprise.
Just jump ahead a few seconds, but my runner up is the Dr. Octopus fight.
Yes,
at the end
it's a pretty good fight.
The fact that he's in the game was a really well kept secret. And was like a fucking delightful addition.
I thought they were building up to put him in a sequel, but
it was also interesting that same the exact same thing is true of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh yeah.
There's a bigger surprise than that.
Oh
yeah.
yeah, much bigger surprise than that.
Yeah, especially when you're like looking at a
Spoilers
character
for
that you
that.
don't know who it is, and then it's like, oh.
So I chose Doctor Octopus because like just the build up to that
That's
fight,
a really
like
great culminating moment,
like,
mechanically and like narratively.
Emotional.
The narrative of that fight is fucking amazing.
the
it's-
music, the way
the-
the music plays into it, the crescendo,
like the story,
action.
the even character development during the fight, how it just plays out.
I
is
think
fucking great.
Spider-Man 2 is a fantastic movie, and I think this game did a better job with Doc Ock than
No, I
Spider-Man 2.
totally agree with you. I think I've said this before, and obviously I
In the
I have-
movie?
yeah,
I think it did a better job than 2.
I
think 2 was great, but I think this did a better job.
100% better than 2.
I also
They did a really good job.
I
I'm not gonna
also
lie.
you know
with him at least.
as someone who doesn't
With, like,
have
Alfred Molina?
much exposure to like the comics, so I have a far smaller
Yeah.
pool to draw from. Like I only have the movies
Also, Alfred
and
Molina was great.
and the
Sure,
games
was,
to
that's
pull
what
from.
I'm
But like I think the story and like the way that this kind of plays out is like my favorite Spider-Man narrative thing.
It's fucking
It
good.
was
The
fucking
operating
great.
room scene in Spider-Man 2, the movie, is better than any Dr. Octopus
It's
stuff in this game.
Yeah, that operating scene is fucking great, but it's really more just Sam Raimi like
I know. but
yeah.
wanking
Sam Raimi's
himself
great.
off. But
That's good.
I
for a
know it was
director.
great. It was great, but it comes from like a love of Sam Raimi than it does more than it does like a love of Doctor Octopus.
Sam
It's-
Raimi's why that
but-
movie's good.
Yeah, it was
Crispy?
great. It was fine.
It's beats time.
All right, I think it's safe to come back, right?
Let's see if it's going back.
Honorable mention.
Beat the time.
Wait, I haven't even done mine yet.
My
Again, those winners.
winner
Yeah.
I didn't know
for
what he
best
said.
boss fight of the year, I am going to also give it to a Monster Hunter World monster.
Okay.
But the one I'm giving it to is the Teostra,
Yeah.
which was one of the
fire
fire
lion
elder
dragon?
dragons.
Lion
It's
fire
just like
dragon? Fire lion dragon?
Yeah, it's like a lion dragon with like a fiery mane. It's fucking gnarly.
Fighting that dude with a hammer felt so good.
And you fought all these bosses by yourself?
Yes. Yes.
I need to.
Oh my god, it's so like his face is in the perfect spot for a hammer. You know. Yeah, you fuck that dude up. It's not like sniping fucking Rathalos heads. He's right there.
Yeah, fucking hammer it.
Okay. What's your
Get that hunting horn out there.
All right, my runner-up obviously was
I
the
don't-
fight we
I
just
don't
talked about
swear
from
with the
Spider-Man.
the hammer.
My winner, and this is my my winner is the Stranger from God of War. It's one of the. It's kind of a cinematic moment.
I'm actually
but-
surprised you didn't go with the
That's a good one.
Valkyrie.
So that's an honorable mention for me. The Valkyrie is a great fight. For
All
me.
the Valkyries.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, all the Valkyries are great. I was my honorable mention was the Queen Valkyrie. The final Valkyrie you fight is incredible. It is super demanding. It is like it was the moment I realized they are going for like super precise, demanding combat in this game, and you have to be on top of your game.
And you have
But-
to have all your armor leveled up.
But that fight is like nothing else that I've played this year came close to just the fucking
Oh, the
just-
Stranger. I didn't know what the fuck you're talking about. You're talking about Baldur.
God. I was
Spoiler
trying, I
alert!
was
He
really
didn't
trying
wanna
to
say
avoid
it.
that, Brad.
Oh, that's a spoiler.
That's a spoiler, yes, Brad.
Yeah, but
I called
it's
him
a
the
spoiler
Stranger
for Norse
because I
mythology, which has been around for a while.
yeah, but you're not supposed to know that's who that is until you fucking
It's Baldur.
much later in the game. Yes.
Wait, of Baldur's Gate fame?
Yes.
I just thought that was his name. I didn't know.
Yeah, but you don't. That's a reveal in the game that comes
Yeah.
like 20 hours into the game.
I guess it's only a reveal if you know a lot about Norse mythology already.
The point is, they're very intentionally keeping his identity from.
Wait a
from
minute,
you a
Dr.
secret.
Octopus was in God of War?
God, I fucking hate you.
Sorry, I really didn't think that was. I was just confused.
Spoiler alert for everything.
You play as Kratos.
Okay, that's not the same fucking thing, Brad.
Oh, he looks different.
Sorry, I apologize. I was trying to. I said the Stranger because I was trying to keep that information secret.
Sorry.
Yes, your first fight with Baldur in the game, where he first comes knocking on your door.
That's a really good
at his
fight.
home, is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
From a narrative perspective, like even I mean, I know it's framed completely from a narrative perspective, and I don't even know if it's possible to lose that fight necessarily. But like, I guess you can.
Probably.
But like, you are the power that you have, like that's just like clashing between those two characters is It's like I was reliving the glory days of like watching. Like I haven't felt that way since I watched like Dragon Ball Z.
So that's what I was
back in
gonna
the
say.
day. I was
And
like,
a
oh my
lot
It's
of-
God.
like watching Man of Steel
A
again.
lot of people hearken that fight to like a Dragon Ball Z fight
Or a Superman fight.
or Superman, but it's like these two powerful guys. Like, oh, let me pick up this tree and fucking slam it into you.
But-
I'm gonna fucking slam you into a mountain and you're gonna go flying. It felt really good.
Yeah.
But I think it's the scenario of, you start this game knowing who this character is, knowing what his abilities are, and then all of a sudden seeing this random little guy come up and fucking just start tossing him around like he's nothing.
When he first uppercuts Kratos through the like over his roof, I was like, well, goddamn.
Yeah.
Like I knew he was gonna be strong, but I was not that whole fight like just knocked the air out of me. I was like, what the fuck? And I was like so into it. In fact, I went back when I was recording footage and I got to play it again, and I was like, fuck, this is still an amazing fight. It's so goddamn good. That fight set the bar for that fucking game. My God, so good.
I got an honorable mention of Odegaron. I mean,
How many Monster Hunter bosses do you
and
have
every
on there?
single-
Odegaron is
Boss?
one of my favorites. I have the Odegaron armor. I fucking love it. The Kieran is fucking like
horrifying.
bitch.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
I will say an honorable mention for me is actually from God of War. It's the Magni Modi fight.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
That's
Where
really
you have
I
to
love
like,
that fight until it went dark and you start to...
So that part wasn't the best.
Where you have to like,
But
like,
I thought that's
I did like that part, but I just like the concept of you're fighting
Yeah, that's
two
cool. That's cool.
people and but you have
They're working together.
like,
no,
yeah.
no. Honorable mention: Dracula from Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Okay.
Silly fuck.
That's fucking dope.
Also,
It's cool he's in there.
also honorable mention. I saw someone mention this in chat earlier too. Is the golden chicken
oh yeah.
runs,
The challenges, yeah, the golden chicken challenges.
and
Yeah.
I can't even fucking believe I can say this, but I did them all.
Yeah, I'm impressed that you did them all.
I wanted. To,
I gave up on one of them.
I wanted to throw my controller on more than one
Golden
occasion.
chicken
In
challenges?
Guacamelee too.
Are those the keys?
Yeah,
Yes,
the keys.
and
okay.
they're the
I got
last
one more
one.
piece of
The
key. I'm
last
still
one
playing
in
the game.
particular
missing one.
is
I got
fucked up.
one more.
That's the
honorable
one I
mention,
haven't done.
and it's gonna be for the Sinister Six fights in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
where you have to fight like two of them at a time, and the fight is all about like turning them against each other.
Those are pretty good
Like,
fights.
like the Electro Vulture one is really fun.
I actually really like the Scorpion and Rhino one.
Rhino?
yeah, where you're like,
You guys are
Honorable
spoiling
mention.
crazy.
Honorable mention. You fight this boss a lot. He's almost like a super enemy. But the Blizzards and Frostpunk are
Okay.
fucking Brad. Those are fucking
I'm not
ridiculous.
denying it. You were right.
When that shit happens,
the social injustice.
you
of
have to be
Frostpunk.
fucking prepared, and if you're not, you get fucked. Like they are some of the like every boss I fought in Spider-Man or in God of War didn't fucking strike fear into my heart like every Blizzard and Frostpunk.
That's true.
That's fair. That is a
fucking
fair
true.
assessment. All
All
right.
right, we got to
Our next
We're
category.
only halfway through
Our next category should go fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Best multiplayer
Why
experience.
is it gonna go quickly?
Woo, we all
Well-
know the answer to this one. Let's hear it.
Sorry, it's gonna go quickly for me, Brad.
Okay.
Go
My
ahead.
runner-up is Onrush. This is sort of a somewhat spiritual twist on the MotorStorm series made by like former MotorStorm devs. It's not really a racing game because there's no destination and you never want to be in first necessarily. It is sort of an objective-based a team-based driving game that has different modes, such as like kind of a twist on like King of the Hill, but it's a moving spot and you're just trying to get the most of your team. It's a 5-on-5 game in the fucking zone, right? But it's very weird. There's like a some people compare this to like Dota or whatever, right? Because it's 5-on-5 and there's a creep. There's all these other drivers that are basically just there to be fodder to power up your boost meter.
Yeah.
So you're like running into these guys to build your boost to like, trigger your ult, right? Some people compare it to like Overwatch on wheels as well.
Yeah.
You have an ult that you're trying to power up, and it's just a really cool, inventive take on a driving game. Not enough people played it, but it really still feels like MotorStorm. It's got those cool track designs. I really, really did enjoy this game. But my winner, and this is sort of a twist, but I don't play a lot of traditional multiplayer games, but this is a game I co-opt with my wife, and that's Return of the Obra Dinn. I think this game is a wonderful game to experience with another person, to kind of, bat ideas off of, like, oh, try this, and the other person's like, oh, try this.
I got a very small taste of that. Robin played like a solid 2 hours of my experience with me, I think.
It's one of my favorite experiences of the year, and I think a lot of that had to do with playing it with another person. It reminds me of when I played Her Story with my wife. Very, very awesome experience. So that's my
I do
winner.
wish I had. Maybe one of my biggest regrets of this year is that I didn't play Obra Dinn completely with Robin, because
Oh, yeah, but you did play it.
yeah, I played it.
I completely recognize the validity of that, but I will also say that playing that room absolutely in solitude, like playing that game alone,
Is
like
also
locked
another
in my
good way
room
to
in solitude, is like also like
It's like Monster
a
Hunter.
really
You can
great way
appreciate
to
it both ways.
experience that game.
I did it kind of
Like
right.
just going crazy, like trying to talk to people about the game who like have no idea what you're talking about, and just like feeling like I'm the only person in the world who knows anything about this story. Like it's fucking
Dude,
great.
I did somewhere in the middle. I played it on the stream,
Ooh.
so which maybe wasn't the best way to start playing.
No,
that. And then I played the rest of it by myself.
So runner-up is Red Dead Redemption 2. Online, obviously.
I take it back. That's my biggest regret of the year.
Really?
That I haven't touched it.
Okay.
It would absolutely be my winner. I'm almost positive if I had at least picked it up and played it.
So I enjoyed what I played of it. It is fun. Kind of dicking around with your cowboy friends.
Bonnie's in it? That's what I heard. Is that a spoiler?
You're a son of a bitch,
I don't
Brad.
fucking know. I've never even played it.
If you don't know, don't ask the question.
So
it wasn't a question.
yes,
Yes, it was. There was a question mark at the end of that.
So,
It is a spoiler?
interacting with your friends,
not really.
going on the missions together. That's one of the best things I like. I tend to lean my favorite times in multiplayers isn't when it's me against a bunch of other people so much. Like your like Battlefields and Call of Duties and stuff. Or don't get me wrong, competitive is still okay.
Yeah, you're right.
But it's more so when I get to interact with my friends, and so I had a lot of fun playing with the community and just like you fucking lassoing each other and going on different missions and trying to find better horses and going hunting and it's kind of just stuff like that. It was a lot of fun. Are you ready for my winner?
Is it also a crazy twist on the topic?
No,
Is
it's
it Twister?
just it's an answer I didn't see coming.
10 billion humans.
It's not.
It's Overwatch.
It's not. Sea of Thieves.
Oh
fuck were you playing
my
this?
god!
Dude, you were bitching pretty hard about that game.
But every moment when I was playing with other people, I still had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. The thing that made this game enjoyable for me was playing it with the community.
Social interaction.
Yes,
You just need friends, man.
That's true. But no, every moment I was playing with them and just digging around and fucking the time that we ambushed another ship while they were trying to get treasure and we just fucking demolished them.
You probably experienced this game in the best way possible.
No, 100%.
And that's like one time.
100%. No, I played it, I think 3 different sittings.
Yeah.
And probably a grand total of, I don't know, maybe 8-9 hours, maybe a little less. And I'm done. I'm done. I'm not going to play that game again.
That's cool.
But I still had so much fun.
Every time I look up, I see Prince of the Universe in the chat say, "I'm gonna need you to
Prince.
pick another answer." But he's done that like 3
Sorry,
times
you
tonight.
can't handle the truth. But yeah, don't get me wrong. That game's not great. I don't like the loop of that game. I think it's very short-sighted. But the time I spent playing it with the community was fucking great.
Awesome.
Also, that being said, I only played like 3 games that were multiplayer this year, so I didn't have
That
too
is-
many options.
That is 3 more than me, my friend.
Man, I'm just thinking about Anthem now.
Don't worry, I have a runner-up and a winner.
My runner-up for best multiplayer experience, I'm going to give it to Call of Duty 4 Black Ops, specifically Blackout.
Oh
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
the Battle
Blackout's a
Royale
lot of
mode,
fun.
The PUBG of
I remember-
2018.
I remember-
PUBG of 2018, Blackout is a lot of fun. I think it's probably one of the tightest, most refined, iterations on Battle Royale that I've played.
Mm-hmm.
And I played a few of them. I really like it. It's
Man,
a lot
I
of
would
fun.
love to try it. I just wish they had thrown in a campaign.
Dude, just
Tighter than Radical Heights.
it's still Call of Duty, so the gunplay and everything
Duty.
is still just fucking top notch. It's
Faux
great.
show.
The guns
Snap
feel really, really good. And then my winner for best multiplayer experience of 2018 is obviously Monster Hunter World.
Oh, is it that obvious?
Because, come on, Monster Hunter World.
I'll
In
take
fact, right now-
the Oprah Den example that you used, but flip it with Monster Hunter.
Yeah, I guess.
I appreciate
there-
that game
there
more
are certain-
alone, just me and that animal.
Okay, but I will stipulate that there are some like multiplayer only things that are like really unique and incredible in that game. So like they'll do events like I forget what that one monster is called, but there's like a gold monster where like they'll like you go to the gathering hub and a whole bunch of different people in the session will like post hunts to go after that thing, and it's all like a cumulative effort. So every single hunt and expedition that goes after that monster advances the whole server's like investigation level for that monster, and then once like a certain period of time has passed, everybody in the server who participated like gets rewards from it that you can only get by participating through the gathering hub. Like there's some really interesting, neat, like community centric ideas with the multiplayer.
If only, as long as you know what it feels like to have to cure your bleeding in the middle of an Odegaron fight when you're alone.
You guys are nerds.
Who the fuck do you think you talked to?
All right.
Nick,
My runner-up, and this will tell you exactly. This will tell you how
Cold
many
Veterra,
how
that's
much
what
multiplayer I've actually played in
Okay.
2018.
Okay.
My runner-up
Okay.
is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Oh.
I played it
That's-
once.
that's
That
a-
was
that's
the night that you.
unhonorable.
I'm thinking maybe you are forgetting, but
no,
maybe
I
it'll
have
be your winner.
I have
That's a
list.
great one, but you know it's Smash Brothers.
Yes, I know. My winner, Dragon Ball Fighter Z.
No, y'all did forget one, and maybe I hated it. I don't know.
What do you think I forgot?
It's an honorable mention for me. Talk about
Sorry,
Dragon Ball.
I mean, I think I don't
It
play.
looks pretty.
I don't play many fighting games. I think it obviously looks amazing.
You could
it,
be
it was a fighting game that was very easy to pick up and without knowing what you're doing, have a great experience. Unfortunately, the one thing I keep remembering now is that I was having fun, and then Carlos just proceeded to just beat me into the ground every time I picked up the controller. But it's super fun.
Beck's got an inspired choice, The Persistence.
But
was fun playing with other people.
Oh, I guess you're right.
The
You're talking about
second screen experience.
I forgot about the second screen
My
experience.
honorable mention is A Way Out, because while ultimately
No, I did not forget
Oh,
about
I
that.
left that off my list on
While
purpose.
ultimately A Way Out may have disappointed me because the writing and the acting is a little iffy.
You mean like the game?
The writing, the acting, the gameplay.
No, but there
So
are
we're
some.
clear. I did not.
there
leave that
are
off.
some-
I did not forget that.
There are some really clever co-op little moments
Like when
or
you have to
vignettes in
hold
that
the
game.
fan off for your friend to run to
I mean,
crawl through,
I mean, a lot of
and
even
then
like
the button keeps slipping and they
there's
keep getting
there's
cut.
a lot of
Is that what kept happening?
there's a lot of little clever stuff. Like I remember when just like when you go up to that like country home and you're trying
yeah.
to
play horseshoes.
sneak in, so you get one person to go to the door and try to keep the other person busy while the other person sneaks around the back and tries to find out what's going on, like with the wife or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty clever. You don't see that kind of the non-combat stuff in this
No,
game.
I agree.
Actually kind of works. I played with my wife. I had a fun time, even if it was ultimately forgettable and frustratingly poorly written. Maybe Brothers was so amazing because there was no writing.
The best co-op
Or voice
experience
acting.
I've had in years is playing Resident Evil 5 with Nolan now.
Yeah.
All right. So, any other honorable mentions we want to throw out there?
Nope.
All right.
What about Fortnite? This guy likes Fortnite. That came out this year.
What?
Did it?
No, it came out this year.
That came out
Let's
last
not
year.
talk about Fortnite. Our last category for this segment is going to be best comfort food. I think we know what that means.
Oh, this is in the same, not in the same segment as Comfort Zone. That's frustrating.
Too bad.
Sorry. Was there
Okay.
two different things?
Yes.
Oh, out of our comfort zone. Sorry.
Yeah.
This is our
They're-
best comfort food.
They're sort of a pairing. But
You know what this
whatever.
is? This is that game that you've played before, yet you keep coming back to it. It's a new game, but like it's very
just-
familiar, very nice.
It's very familiar. It might not be the best game, but it is the one that is so you. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, Brad, what is your runner-up?
My runner-up is, well, it's sort of two games, but it'll make sense when I say them. Yakuza 6 and Yakuza Kiwami 2. Yakuza games for me at this point are sort of my comfort food. I kind of know what I'm getting into. what I enjoy and what I hate about all the games is the same from entry to entry. You know, I love the sub stories. I love the main story. I love when the game's silly, but I also love the over the top serious melodrama. I can always play a Yakuza game, and I think I always will, including
Also,
Judgment next year, which is
Prince
sort
of the
a
Universe in
Yakuza
chat.
spin-off.
This is to clarify. This is not games we replayed. This is a new game that came out that is just very familiar, very similar to something that we've played
very
many
comforting,
times.
familiar, easy to play, easy to get into. It is very you.
When you hear our choices, it'll make more sense.
My winner is Chasm. You know, I'm a big, long-time Castlevania fan, and starting up Chasm felt like slipping into a nice warm glove. Is that a thing? Is that a thing? Nice,
Just slipping
nice, comfy, like an isotone,
Like a broken-in pair of shoes.
like a broken-in pair of shoes. As soon as I started playing Chasm, it's like, I know this.
Yeah.
This was made for me. It's absolutely 100% an Igavania down to the details. The combat, the loot, everything felt so right. I absolutely loved my time with Chasm. There's a lot of Metroidvanias that say, oh, we try to be like Castlevania, but no indie Metroidvania has nailed it as well as Chasm did for me, and I absolutely adored it.
I didn't think I was going to stick with that game and finish it, but I did. It's
That's
great.
really good.
Great.
Nolan.
My runner-up is Donut County. This is a game that the reason I felt good with it was Katamari. It obviously gave me Katamari vibes. The quirkiness, the trying to make something bigger by interacting with smaller things and larger things over and over.
There's a lot of euphemisms in there, huh?
Maybe. I mean, eventually the hole's so big that you can't feel anything.
It's like throwing a hot dog down a hallway. Am I right? Am I right?
No.
But
Okay.
that game just, it felt so good. And
It's like a hot dog in a town.
yeah, pretty much. And then my winner is actually Moonlighter. And so while this game is different from the roguelikes and the kind of dungeon crawlers I've played before, which is kind of what got me into it, the shop daytime mechanics are what kind of kept me going with it. It just the whole
That sort of addictive loop.
Yes, and so it's in something like Rogue Legacy, I just wanted to get more money so I could advance myself, so I could defeat the next boss. But in this, I just wanted to get more loot, so I go to my store so I can sell it, so I can buy better gear to go get more loot, to go to my store and sell it, and just so I can upgrade my shop. I get one more little pedestal where I can put my wares, and just a constant kind of even though I was excited, this person wants to buy this really advanced gem I found, but then I see someone eyeing something, and I'm like, that person doesn't look like they're gonna buy it. And sure enough, they grab it and start running for the door. And it's like, fuck, I gotta go tackle them because
A shoplifter?
Yes, they're shoplifters in that game.
It's a game about running a shop. I would imagine they're
but
shoplifters.
The problem is if you're not quick enough, the people who are waiting at the counter will just walk out. And so you gotta. But yeah, that loop of the dungeon crawling is what kind of was. That's what I loved. I mean, those roguelikes, Binding of Isaac, just kind of going through that.
Oh,
but then,
that's your
with the
jam.
addition of the daytime shopkeeper stuff, fucking great.
Nice. Crispy?
No.
Comfort food?
My runner-up comfort food game is, you know what? Tetris Effect.
That makes total sense.
This is very good.
I'm really happy, guys. There's so many VR games on our
Oh, yeah.
awards this year.
Tetris Effect
I almost
is
wanted to do a best VR game category, but that's not fair.
next year.
Next year.
Yeah, Tetris Effect needs no explanation.
Nope.
But it's delightful.
Tetris in any form is a good comfort
And
game.
my best comfort food game of 2018 is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
There you go. Yeah.
That is that is like the definition of
That's the one.
comfort food.
That's
you know
the one.
exactly what you're getting into.
That's the one.
Yeah. It's fun.
It was great. I took it to the bar yesterday, and a bunch of people were just hanging around playing Smash Brothers.
Nice.
It's fucking
Although
good.
them removing that Advance Wars Assist trophy is like a shard of glass in your food.
It's just it's like eating Cheerios with broken up bits of glass instead of milk.
Tastes good, but it's killing you on the inside.
Wait,
It hurts. It pains with every bite. Now all I can taste is my own blood.
And Bile. Go ahead, Crispy.
Jesus.
I mean, Nick.
Thank you. My best comfort food runner-up. It's a game I'm currently playing. Dragon Quest XI.
Yeah, this is very comforting as well.
You know, it's very, very traditional JRPG. They don't really make many of them like this anymore. Dragon Quest as a series is a game that hasn't really evolved much, but I still enjoy the formula a lot. I still enjoy. I know I may get some pushback here. I still enjoy the music quite a bit, even if the
Pushback. I'm pushing back.
Even though the version that's on the PS4 disc is not the ideal one, I still just the tunes.
Nick
and
supports
whatnot.
Japanese war crimes.
I just enjoy the like how upbeat and happy and simple everything is. Everything feels very stress-free when I'm playing that game, and I like it a lot. My winner though is a game that I'm currently playing as well, and I keep finding myself thinking about it a lot. And that's Spyro.
Yeah,
Reignited.
really. It's a good choice.
That game is so just chill and fun to play. I know it's very simple. We've talked about Spyro a lot over the years, but this remake is like really well done. And I'm just enjoying like the atmosphere of all the worlds, and like the game is just fucking beautiful. I still really dig the music. It just makes me feel happy. So I'm kind of bouncing back and forth between Dragon Quest XI and Spyro when I'm just feeling like doing something chill.
It's like a big bowl of mac and cheese.
Yeah, exactly. Any honorable mentions for best comfort
So I
food?
actually did have Dragon Quest as an honorable
Yeah, me
mention.
too.
That's one of those games where every time I played it, I didn't feel stressed. It just felt really easygoing. I often multitasked while I was playing that game. But I also had The Gardens Between as one of mine. Yeah. But anyway.
I got Guacamelee too. Kind of any Metroidvania is
Oh,
very
yeah.
comfort food
Metroidvania,
for me.
Chasm and Blackout.
I also put Shadow of the Colossus. That remake was a nice.
All right, Nick, take us to break.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break, guys.
Super quick.
We have one more segment to go, which means 4 more categories. When we come back, our next category is gonna be most out of our comfort zone, or our best game outside of our comfort zone. We're gonna take a quick break, and during that break, we're gonna play a sample from my soundtrack of the year, which is surprisingly Far Cry 5. There's not many awards I can give to Far Cry 5, sadly.
Why are you booing him?
Dude, this soundtrack. This soundtrack is fucking stellar, and there's way more music than I would have expected. So the 2 tracks you're gonna hear, one is a choir version of I think it's called "Keep Your Rifle by Your Side," and it's a fantastic fucking track.
Praise the Lord and pass the
Play that track, Nick.
And there's one other track, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's like the main like ambient music track that plays in the game.
Cult leaders
I think it
playing
adds a
banjos
lot
or
to.
something.
I love the one thing I love about Far Cry 5 was the world. I love the world. It's just everything else outside of that was not great, but the music's fantastic. So I hope you enjoy it. So if you're watching us live, don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the show. I hope you guys enjoyed the sample for my soundtrack of the year. I unfortunately can't give that game many awards, but that soundtrack's pretty fucking stellar. So, anyways,
Well, you could if we had a category for worst game, apparently.
No, it's not the worst game, but we're not
Hey,
talking.
Nick, you know what would be a good category?
Wait, before we get started, I want to. Chris David asked that I pimp one more time. If you're watching, and you have not yet filled out our surveys for our community top 10 games, as well as our 4-player highlights. You can vote for your favorite 4-player highlights of 2018. There's 2 surveys. Go take those. We'd really appreciate your input.
Just call them polls.
Also, do Voting in both of those enters you in a drawing for a free game. So, and that's 2. If you do both surveys, that's 2 entries. Anyways, now we can start with our first category of our last segment this evening.
You know what's a good pairing with our comfort food category that we just did?
What's that?
Red wine?
Before the break? The game that most got us out of our comfort zone.
Yes, this is the best game that exists outside of our own personal comfort zones.
The anti-comfort food, if you will.
Yes, this is something we really had to get out of our comfort zone to find and enjoy. So, Brad, what is your runner-up?
My runner-up, I'm going to give it to Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. And the reason I do is because this is the game that was sort of a stretch goal for Bloodstained proper, and Bloodstained Ritual of the Night proper, which is a sort of a side game that was developed as a classic Castlevania game. And the thing about this is I don't really enjoy classic Castlevania games. I'm a Symphony of the Night and Beyond kind of guy. When they turned it into Metroid in an RPG, that's when I fell in love. In fact, I traditionally hated classic Castlevania games. I didn't play them when I was younger. I went over to my friend's house and I was like, turn that off, let's play Zelda, because they were hard and they were punishing, and I just kind of didn't enjoy my time with it. I went back and I've played a few of them, but I don't love them like I love the Metroidvanias.
Yeah.
So I was a little iffy going into Circle of the Moon because that is a throwback to Castlevania 3.
Circle of the Moon or Curse of the Moon?
It is Curse of the Moon.
Curse of
Sorry.
the Moon, yeah.
Circle of the Moon was another Castlevania game. They are really aping the Castlevania subtitles with Ritual of the Night and Curse of the Moon. But yeah, I was a little nervous going into this because I haven't traditionally loved these games. But this was like a very smart but more accessible throwback to Castlevania 3 from the NES. You could switch between characters on the fly, but unlike in that game, if one of your characters died, it wasn't like, you lose a life, you go back to a checkpoint. You would go back to a checkpoint, but you would just, instead of losing a life, you would just lose one of your characters. So, and because you unlocked up to 4 characters as you played through that game, you would just play that next character. And it was sort of a more forgiving, accessible take on that old school formula from Castlevania 3, but what made it fun is as you start to lose characters, it started to get a little harder, right? Because some of the characters were very limited. Like when you were playing the old guy who's sort of like the Sypha analog, who just used like magic and had a really shit physical attack that was very low range, but it's all you had left. All of a sudden you were playing the game differently than you were before, because instead of relying on your whip users, your whip user or your Alucard analog who can fly and shoot bats, you're this fucking wizard with powerful spells but a very little weak attack, and it sort of just changed the way you played the game and you sort of approached it from different angles. It sort of made me really love that classic Castlevania formula in a way that I never really saw before, even though you still had that shitty restrictive jumps and all that punishing stuff. So it's probably my new favorite classic Castlevania game.
Cool.
My winner, though, is a type of game that I really never play, but I still enjoyed. That's Frostpunk. This is sort of a, it's a city builder, but it has
Frostpunk's also my winner.
Oh, it's your winner.
For most out of my comfort zone, yes.
It is a city builder, but it is also a survival game.
I don't do city builders.
Nobody's comfortable in the cold, guys.
So it's not just that it's a city builder, which I never play, but it's a very stressful one. In a stressful game that moves in real time, even with a pause, when you have a lot of decisions to make, and none of them easy, and time just keeps ticking on and on and on, in those impending blizzards where the temperature drops, like, it's so stressful for me. And typically, like, I've never played through an RTS game in my life because I can't deal with it.
Yeah.
I've never played through a city builder in my life because I can't deal with it. It's too stressful.
No,
the decisions.
There's too many. They're
ticking time bombs for me.
There's too many decisions to make. And B, that ends up meaning I'm going to get out paper and pen and start writing shit down, and I have to optimize. I have to have the optimal solution. So I spend way too much time on them, like in the weeds, when I really don't need to be.
I get really overwhelmed.
This is also Ed's runner-up for...
But the reason I think Frostpunk worked for me is because the feelings I have usually when I play this type of game is thematically appropriate here. These are the feelings I should be having. So even though I was stressed out, it felt right.
Yeah.
And this is not the type of game I played, but I'm really glad I played it.
So yeah, I agree. I had heard about Frostpunk from you, and I wasn't really super excited about it, just because like I said, I don't really typically play those types of games. But the way you kind of talked about it, I was like, let me give it a shot. And then when I played it, like it was, even though
and you went into this game hard.
a little bit. But yeah, all the reasons you were saying, Brad, I'm not a big fan. Like, I've never really been into Sim Cities and like kind of that style. Like, I know a lot of my coworkers and people talk about Factoria. Man, that's a big one. I just don't get into those games as much. And this one, while it wasn't what I normally would play,
Yeah.
Nice. What was your runner-up?
my runner-up was, I don't typically play fighting games. I just don't get enjoyment out of them. But Dragon Ball FighterZ, definitely, because it is Dragon Ball, that's why I played that game and was interested in it.
I think it got a lot of people who don't
100%.
typically play
The
fighting
nostalgia
games.
nostalgia
I'm assuming it's safe
factor
to assume
alone.
that is now probably considered like the best Dragon Ball Z fighting game ever made.
Well, obviously.
Yes, yeah, 100%.
I feel like there's a lot of people who go to bat for like Budokai Tenkaichi or something.
No. People don't like Tenkaichi,
no,
but people
no.
like Budokai.
Budokai 2 was really
1,
good.
2, and 3. They were all
Yeah,
cool.
all three of them were pretty good.
And, you know,
but Tenkaichi wasn't that. But yeah,
Dragon Ball FighterZ is
this one
fucking
just
dope.
it takes those games back beyond.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why. I mean, like I said, I don't like fighters that much. I've never really been that big into Smash either.
Yeah.
The only reason I played it at all was just Nintendo characters. But like, I don't play Mortal Kombats. I don't play like Street Fighters. I don't play those really games. But Dragon Ball Z, like,
although you can't play as Dodoria in Fighter Z.
oh, unfortunate.
You can in Budokai 3.
Yeah, it's true. Crispy.
My runner-up for out of my comfort zone game is, wait for it, hang on, I'm gonna get some pushback on this. Pushback, hold me back.
I'm
Help.
pushing.
Hope.
I'm pushing.
Red Dead Redemption 2.
That's out of your comfort zone?
I say that because there's a lot about the design of that game that is intended to slow you down.
Yes.
You know, there's a lot of like, stop railing against the fast travel, stop railing against like the size of the world, stop railing against like how much like time it takes to do things, and just like stop and be in the moment and just like smell the roses, you know?
That is the best.
And
that's a very good summary of
it's
what
a
I
very,
love about
like,
this game.
Like coming off of a game like Spider-Man and then going into Red Dead is like very, whiplash kind of like, hey, just like sometimes in this game you're getting enjoyment just from like being for a moment,
Existing, yeah.
which is very unusual in a game, especially nowadays, I feel like. My winner for out of my comfort zone game is Return of the Obra Dinn, because nobody, like, you never really played a game like this, and you don't really know what's going on, and you don't even understand like the loop of the game. You don't understand.
You don't know
like,
anything going
like
in.
what? Yeah, and it has such a unique like layout and presentation, and like the sort of like natural phases of gameplay that come from that are very weird and kind of unlike anything else. And we talked a lot to you about this, and like I talked about this when I was playing the game. Is that like, especially in the first half, like the first couple hours of playing, when you're just like going through scenes, like understanding what it is you're even supposed to be doing in the moment. Like, am I supposed to be figuring something out? Am I supposed to be like, what am I supposed to know at this point? Or am I just like taking in information? Like, it's very disorienting, and it's very like
the visual style,
like,
it's that as well.
The visual style even like also kind of like obscures and obfuscates and throws things off a little bit. But it's a very like, the game seems very impenetrable. Like like there's this giant black box of a mystery that you can't like see into, and you're just trying to like shed some light on it little by little, and every step of the way you definitely kind of feel like you're just not seeing the whole picture. And I would even argue by the end of the game, once you know everything, you still feel like I'm just seeing shapes and shadows of something much bigger that like I don't quite understand. You know?
Yeah.
Very.
That's kind of how
very
I felt
wonderful.
about it at the end there, yeah.
Very, very wonderful how they do that.
What's your runner-up, Nick?
My runner-up is actually a game or a style game that I never play, which is Park Simulation, Jurassic World Evolution. I've never played Roller Coaster Tycoon. I don't really. I get the appeal of them, but it's always felt like a waste of time to me. Like as someone who like I would say 95% of the games that I play because they have some kind of like narrative through line or something driving me to through that way. So a game like Jurassic World Evolution didn't really, where you're basically just building your own Jurassic Park and like maintaining it and keeping it running, seemed like it was just a time sink. But I decided to try it. I played a demo of it at E3 and thought it was pretty interesting, and I like dinosaurs, as we all know.
Do you?
And Jurassic Park is a big part of my childhood, so I felt like maybe this would be a good one to kind of just jump in to get my feet wet. And it's accessible. It's fun. It's optimized for consoles, so like it plays beautifully on a controller. And
how can that?
And just like being able to like kind of, you have these different islands and being able to kind of like plan your perfect version of Jurassic Park and like populate it with dinosaurs and keep the dinosaurs happy and like, but then also be able to like zoom all the way in and like actually walk around the environment with the dinosaurs and like being in charge of like feeding them and like making sure there's plenty of vegetation, making sure certain species are not, that don't get along, aren't in the same enclosure together and that kind of thing. Handling situations where like there's power outages and like dinosaurs get out or that kind of shit. Like dealing with all that shit is actually kind of stressful, but like super fun. And
how's that not your winner?
My winner is a game we've talked about quite a bit tonight already, and that's Subnautica. I don't play survival games ever, and I don't really know what it was about that drew me to this game, because the ocean scares the shit out of me. But there's something about that exploring the unknown. Yeah, like how when you're in that world and you're floating on the surface and you're looking around and all you see for miles is water, but everything is below the surface. It's just a really cool, unique feeling I've never really had in a game. And
Subnautica was an honorable mention.
Yeah, and all you got to do is start to kind of pick up pieces and then make that first thing that kind of helps you go a little bit deeper or a little bit farther away from your... And like that feeling is very just overwhelming and addicting. Cool. So yeah,
one of my
I loved it.
Honorable mentions was 7 Billion Humans, along with Human Resource Machine. A game where the primary like gameplay loop is coding, programming is very different for me, but I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Into the Breach... obviously I tried that pretty late in the year. I enjoyed it, despite some frustrations, but like I don't really play those types of games either. But I've only sunk 3 or 4 hours in this game total. But there is something very physically rewarding about that. There's just a lot of good feedback in that game, and everything feels really
crispy.
Nice, so.
You got anything? Honorable mention?
I'll say that like I just didn't play too much out of my comfort zone this year. Like I like it's mainly just because there were so many games I knew I wanted to play. I didn't have enough free time to go out and play those other games that I'm like, maybe I'll like this. But
Into the Breach. I'm also gonna say Detroit because I was really uncomfortable for most of that game. But that wasn't
spirit
a good
of the
thing.
topic. Wandersong a little bit because it's such a narrative driven. I mean, like there's like no gameplay in that game, and the gameplay is kind of bad.
Wait, which game? Oh, Wandersong.
Wandersong. And usually I don't give myself to that game fully, that type of game fully, but it paid off because that's a really cool game.
All right, our next category. By the way, Subnautica was Ed's winner in chat. He's in chat as well, obviously.
Hey Nick,
so. Yes.
What's the most addictive game of the year?
Well you're first. What's your runner-up for most addictive game, Brad?
I'm gonna give it to Subnautica.
That's also my runner-up
because there is a loop in Subnautica. It's like an endless loop, and it never stops. You're getting resources, and the resources are filling.
But you know what's beautiful about Subnautica?
Resources feed into building new things, and the building new things gets you to new places where you can get new resources, and which lets you create new
better
technology
devices that lets you get more resources.
Yeah, so like it never ends, and it's always like. Anytime you stop, you're already ready to do something new, and you want to see what that next thing is, and that fuels your building and it fuels your exploration.
You use the term "it never ends," and I know what you mean. You're right. It's a very addictive loop, and you just keep going and going and going. But I think one thing that I loved about this game, one thing that kind of drove me to complete this game, I played this game for like 50 hours, and what drove me to that was the fact that there was an end.
There was an actual ending.
There is a very concrete like goal in mind, and once you accomplish that goal, you are clearly done with the game. And I think that is something that's maybe lacking in the genre quite a bit. It's most of these games in the genre are very much just like endlessly just survive.
Yeah,
and this is very much survive until you can.
The ending is what made it addictive to you?
The fact that I knew I was working towards a goal and there would be a moment where I completed the game. It was done. I escaped the planet. Like that is the driving momentum. And as for someone like me who's like scared of the ocean, like that's like there's no better motivation than getting off the fucking planet. So that contributed to the addictive nature for me personally.
My winner for most addictive is obvious. It's the game I played the most this year, and I kind of couldn't stop playing it, and I had to force myself to stop playing it because I would.
What could it be?
It's Pit People.
No,
It's
Monster Hunter World.
It's Monster Hunter World.
Of course it is.
Monster Hunter games are notoriously difficult because as soon as you like get a single fucking part from a monster, you go to that shop and it shows you that whole fucking set, and you're like, I want all of that. It all looks fucking cool. And you're just pulled along by getting the next weapon, getting the next armor set, seeing the next monster. It's fucking endless. And one of the things that this game did, I think, better than the others is the way it handles the skill system, because it makes like sort of unlocking the skills like way more accessible than before, where you had to really work to kind of like get a skill like to buff your character in a certain way. But here you can like mix and match the pieces and have all different kinds of skills. Maybe they're not as powerful as they would be if you had like a full set or whatever, but it made you want to get all of the armor pieces because you can mix and match them in all kinds of like cool ways to make cool builds, and like making new builds that making new builds that, depending on what weapon type you wanted to use, it was just like endlessly replayable, and if you got bored of any one aspect, you would just go try a new weapon, and that whole loop would start all over again, because there's so many ways to play this game, and it's just there's so many good things to fucking unlock when you start getting gems and you don't know what they are until
They're truly outrageous.
The gems,
Yeah.
they are pretty outrageous. Especially when you don't get the ones you want, so you're gonna kill that monster again and again and again until you fucking get it. Super fucking addictive.
Awesome.
I'm sure Crispy would agree.
I would.
Nolan,
but Nolan's next.
what's your runner-up?
My runner-up is Beat Saber. This is a game that I honestly didn't expect to like as much as I did, and I only started playing it like a month ago.
Let's say I don't think we had a chance to talk about it on the show yet.
We haven't had a regular show since I started playing this. But dude, as soon as you start fucking playing that game and you lose a level, or you just gotta try again, and it's so it doesn't seem like it would be that addictive. But the way the boxes come in to the rhythm and how you slicing them just perfectly goes with the song. And even though there's not that many songs, but when you start fucking getting those, like when they all of a sudden they start
get it, Nolan,
dude, when they fucking start throwing twists at you, when they move the boxes, when they shift their positions, and when you're having to do like the one arm stuff, and all of a sudden when you're fucking jamming with it and you're getting it and you're not missing, your combos racking up, you're like a fucking 200 combo. It's like, it feels so good. And I would play this game until I'm like fucking dripping sweat. Like I'm just like moving so much. I fucking loved it. I'm not done with that game. I haven't finished it. I want to say 4 levels left.
The game gets hard.
Dude, they're so fucking hard. So I'm
what's your winner?
My winner. No one's gonna guess this one. My winner for the most addictive game of 2018 is Frostpunk.
Yeah.
I was gonna guess that too.
You really?
Yeah. I mean, that once you get into a good city builder, I mean, that is.
Wait, which one's Frostpunk?
It's the one that is like steampunk but with ice.
Cold punk. Gotcha.
There you go. It's one of those the similar to, I've talked about it before, but like Stardew Valley was a game that you couldn't save that game until you completed a day. Now, that being said, in Frostpunk, you can technically save whenever you want, but a new day always starts in that. When the new day launches, and when a guy says, a new day begins, when, everyone, time to go to work, and when all that shit's going on, and it's like, well...
You don't want to stop until the day's done.
Well, I only need 40 more wood to be able to unlock this new thing, so let me just do that, and all of a sudden you're back in that loop. And, like... It's when I'm playing that game, I've had multiple streams, 4.5, 5 hour streams, and only like 4 days pass in the game because I'm constantly pausing and moving the camera and trying to plan and strategize and be like, all right, so I have this much food left. My people aren't very happy right now. I've been making the food into soup, which lasts longer. It stretches the food out more, but they don't like it as much. So, you know what? I think if I assign a few more hunters to the hunter's hut tonight, I get enough food to where you don't have to make it soup, and people will be happier, and it will only last me 2 days instead of 3 days, but that happiness boost can allow me to do something else that they might not like as
I'm getting
much.
nervous just you talking about this.
But dude, like it's the decisions, and it's not even like some of the first levels you don't have the what is the tree called? The one where it's more like authoritarianism, where you're like, oh, setting up guard towers and doing more like you can fucking like sentence people to death. You can start doing some extreme shit in that game if you want to go down that path. And I was telling Chris Davis before the show that their most recent free update, and let me say, every single expansion of this game is free. You buy it once, everything they release is free.
Pretty dope.
It's the endless mode. And so you get to choose from a variety of different map styles. Do you want like a very like thin, like kind of like, you're like in a ravine? Not very convenient for like huddling people around the generator because you can only go out so far. Or do you want that very wide one where the resources are farther away? And then you can do all these settings. You can like tweak it to however you want. You can make it like really intense, like, oh, the people will fucking be constantly begging for things, or like constant storms, or you can make it lighter. You can make it just kind of like, oh, just kind of chill, man, just like build out the city and have fun doing it. And so I really like that they added that. Really fucking good game.
That's Frostpunk.
Crispy.
My runner-up for most addictive game is Chasm.
Really?
Yeah, I was really into Chasm, man.
Dude, I was really.
It got hooked in me deeper than I would have expected as well. So
I agree. That's one of the few games I've sort of stretched out all of my games this year. That's one of the few ones where I started and beat just blast in a short amount of time.
Dude, I spent at least 2 hours leveling up my sword.
Nice.
I fucking love that sword. My sword familiar.
Yeah.
Fucking great, man.
Yeah, that shit was dope. I mean, it was and it came at like such a good time too during the summer when there wasn't like it was like right on the leading edge of that like Metroidvania.
Did we all everyone on this couch finish that game?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Mm-hmm. That doesn't happen very often.
And we all liked it too, which is crazy because there's a sort of a consensus that Chasm is kind of a turd.
Yeah, it's
which is
weird.
insane to me. But hey,
I know
we have a topic for that,
game
right?
was so fucking good though. I fucking hate that. And my most addictive my most addictive game for 2018 was Blackout.
Really?
Yes.
Call of Duty Blackout.
Yes, I played a bunch of it.
Doesn't necessarily.
It's a very like jump in, jump out. Dude,
I mean,
I
Battle
really
Royale is the
designed
success
to be
that it is
addictive,
because it's addictive.
They're very addictive.
It is kind
and
of
this
like,
is kind of like the most refined version of that for me.
And this fucking PUBG snob
and
over
2017, 2018 has been kind of defined by the Battle Royale mode or whatever. So
yeah, what a snob.
Yeah.
Don't snob me, Chris Davis.
Hey man.
Blackout.
That's an inspired choice. So I already mentioned my runner-up earlier, but my winner is Red Dead Redemption 2, man. What do you want me to say? I fucking lost myself in that game. It's been a long time since I've spent over 100 hours
I
in a
can't
game.
remember the last time I thought about horse testicles this much.
I always had a female horse, so I never really thought about it.
Guys, I
You're
like
missing out.
like I don't even, dude, for like a month and a half, like my weekends started with like I'd get up in the morning, I would make myself a cup of coffee, and I'd sit there for about 5 hours and go hunting in Red Dead Redemption.
Nick
Like,
started to talk with a southern slang. He had like his twang was a little bit more.
Nick yearns for a simpler time.
His drawl really came out the more he
I've
played.
played-
Red Dead.
when men were men.
I've played 120 hours this game, and let me tell you, no, I'm just kidding.
I'm sure everybody has. You're just the
Out
only one
here
who keeps
in
track.
God's
But-
green earth.
But like, I've played 120
Living
hours of the
along
game,
with
and
the
I've
land.
still only seen about half the map. I'm in the second part of the
How
map.
is that possible?
You'll see.
Wait,
No tourists.
I think I saw Nick
What-
one time go out
Dude.
into his backyard with a cup of coffee, and he leaned against his
Maybe
fence
the edges are
and
further
just
away than
looked
I
at the
thought.
sun rising up.
No, you're in epilogue 2, right?
yeah.
Yeah, that epilogue doesn't take you very far into the other part of the map. The other part of the map is largely just for you to explore. Okay. In fact, it was probably added mostly for the multiplayer, but there is lots of stuff to do in it, and I just haven't done it yet. So like, it's one of those things that I'm itching already to go back and sink some more
That's
hours.
your
into
winner?
it. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so
absolutely. hands
So
down.
honorable mentions. I want to say just because they were really close, I felt bad leaving them off. Into the Breach is super addictive.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as you complete a run, you just want to like, all right, new team, let's go. Also, Tetris Effect. I mean, Tetris. I would play that for fucking hours at a time. I felt like,
yeah.
it's just hard to stop playing.
You just want to like fucking get it.
But I mean, I guess that's Tetris, right?
Smash Brothers also.
Mm-hmm.
Smash Bros is addicting.
Mm-hmm.
But this we know.
Let's see.
Next category.
Next category. let's roll.
Next category
Best
is
debut.
Yeah, best
Best
debut. This is
debut.
formerly called a few years ago. We changed the name. It used to be New IP, but we changed the name to Best Debut. Pretty self-explanatory. Brad?
Yeah. In fact, I feel like most of the games I played this year were kind of new IP best debuts. There's a lot of great stuff. I always kind of.
That's funny because like I feel like I have the opposite. Like most of the games I played this year were in some shape or form a sequel or already an established IP.
I feel like I always kind of like restrict myself at this category.
Question.
And
Is something like Jurassic World Evolution a new IP because it's a Jurassic World?
Technically,
sure,
yes.
sure.
Oh, okay.
I always kind of
maybe
like.
I was thinking about it wrong.
I always kind of restrict myself a little bit and kind of choose the ones that I feel like were like a great like first impression and one I want even more of. Right? I know this is sort of a personal limitation I give it just to kind of narrow it down because
This category can be difficult.
I also tend to think about it
because
which
I feel like my runner-up and winner would just be the highest rated new IP on my
Yeah.
top 10, but I don't really necessarily view it that way.
I also tend to think about it in terms of like which games I think have a likely future as a franchise.
That's where
Well,
usually I
sure.
go, kind of leaning towards that.
Sure. Maybe we should in the future years
Clarify this.
clarify best new game with potential or something. Anyways, my runner-up is Into the Breach. This is a game. So like from the makers of FTL, and one of my favorite parts of FTL was that all the stuff they added in that expansion. And I think about Into the Breach, and I can't wait for
the
the expansion to this game
Ooh,
with all
gonna be
kinds of new
good.
robots and new armies, or maybe even a new faction of enemies. Like just thinking about the possibilities of Into the Breach are great, and it's such a great fucking video game. For all the reasons we mentioned it tonight. That gameplay loop. It's so addictive. It's so clever. It's a fucking puzzle tactics game, and I absolutely adore it. I want more. But my winner for one that really kind of surprised me, and is a new IP and something that I would have never expected to want more of, but I absolutely have to see the next Astrobot game or whatever they do.
That's my
with
winner.
with Astrobot, because man, talk about a great first impression and just nailing it, man. This is the team that could be the next fucking Nintendo, EAD. They could be making the next great platformer. They already are, and it's called Astrobot.
I kind of hope Astrobot I hope they make another Astrobot, and I hope that if it gets to a point where they don't rely on like being like a PlayStation. I think it was charming having the whole like DualShock thing in the in
I
the
mean, it
game.
feels like a marketing mascot.
Yeah, like
it sucks, but
I want it to get
it
away
doesn't
from
matter.
I hope it gets away from that. I hope it
But at the
becomes
same
its own
time,
thing.
it was super fucking charming, man. Astrobot, that little robot is dope.
Don't get me wrong. I think it's amazing.
No one
and
wants to say
it's-
something.
It is my winner.
Astrobot's my runner-up. Jesus, trying
Sorry.
to get in there. And
Sorry,
everyone's
don't
constantly
say
talking.
you're trying
I don't
to
want
get
to
in
yell
there.
over people. But yes, I agree. Astrobot was fantastic. It's one of those games that we've talked about it before plenty of times, but it takes VR and it just goes to the next level with it.
Yeah.
And like Brad was saying, I can't wait. I don't necessarily need more Astrobot, but I'm glad that Astrobot exists because I know there are developers out there who have now seen that, and that's opened their eyes to what they can do with VR.
It's shown
that
tremendous
developer even.
potential.
I know, I agree.
Shown tremendous potential for the future of the platform.
And for that studio.
Yes, definitely.
Like that team. Like, they're the one to watch right now,
Yeah.
I feel like. More than anyone.
What's your
winner?
My winner is Celeste.
Yeah.
This is it is, while it is a puzzly, platformy, I don't say necessarily adventure game, all of these mechanics and the way they interact with each other were fucking fantastic. The ability, the dash was one thing. Plenty of games when you're doing platforming have dashes, but the fact that they added obviously there are the item you interact with in the air that gives you the extra dash or the extra jump, and then I don't know what you call them, but the starry kind of warp devices that you dash into and it fucking slingshots you out the other side.
There's so many cool, like,
little mechanics and just,
platforming ideas.
Yes, and areas where you have the wind blowing at you. You have like just everything in this game. The way it kind of slowly builds up and it kind of teaches you how to use the mechanics. I think it's really good. I do want to see more. I think this developer could definitely.
Yeah, be
it a sequel to Celeste or just
first
another
game or whatever.
Yeah.
Was that what's the?
It was
Not Samurai Gun, but the one where you shoot arrows.
Yeah. I know.
No,
what you're talking
Towerfall.
about.
Towerfall.
Yeah.
And now this, so it's like.
So I could see them doing either, like I said, a sequel to Celeste, where you're climbing a different mountain or doing something else, or just like another game. But
tackling more personal demons. Or
oh no, yeah, and that was one of the great things about this game is not that it was just a story or a game with platforming and cool mechanics and stuff, but there was a cool story. And when the game, you don't see it starting out that way, but then when you start and you get to that first phone call with your inner demons or whatever, and then you meet I forget the guy's name, the fucking hipster dude. Like take a selfie with me and
Luigi.
stuff like that. Yeah, exactly.
No,
Austin Walker.
Yeah, but that guy and just like him, like being like, hey man, you just
Theo.
do what you got to.
Theo.
Yeah, Theo. Thank you, Theo.
Thanks, Ed.
I can't. He has this one line he says to her, and I can't remember what it is. But clearly, the developers of this game had a passion, and they mental illness was a big deal to them, and I really like the way that they added those kind of the overcoming that and the challenges that people face.
Yeah, it's
in the
fucking
game.
great game. I love how you can name the mountain whatever you want.
Oh yeah.
What?
I think so.
Crispy.
My runner-up is Wandersong. That
I should've
game
played
is
that.
fucking delightful.
Yeah, I haven't mentioned it much tonight, but you will hear about it on Tuesday.
I defy you to play that game without a smile on your face.
Oh man.
Challenge accepted.
It is fucking. You can't do it. You can't even get through the intro.
Yeah.
Like the intro is like the first 5 minutes of that game. You're just like, well, I love this. Like, I will do anything for you, little bard character. I love you. It's amazing. It's so endearing. I fucking love it. And my winner.
It actually tackles some of the same issues and stuff that Celeste deals with.
Yeah.
You'll see.
Yeah. My winner for best new IP, debut, new thing, hotness, is Return of the Obra
Yeah,
Dinn.
absolutely.
Because, holy shit.
Absolutely.
Just kind of came out of nowhere and fucking kicked me in the balls.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it.
You love it for kicking you in the balls?
I want it.
It's also Ed's
I want
winner.
more. I want more.
Yeah. I don't know if that game has like a future as like a franchise. Obviously,
No,
it's
it doesn't.
It's very
It
much a
doesn't.
standalone thing.
That's not our.
I
I
also-
know.
it's not
I'm just
like-
saying, but
yeah.
that's
I also
kinda
don't
how-
think that Lucas Pope definitely doesn't seem like the kind of guy. I know, like, he got sick of Papers, Please. Like,
Yeah.
Papers, Please isn't on PlayStation 4. Like, he got tired of that game and he wanted to do something different, which is why he did Obra Dinn. And I could see him being like, maybe, releasing it on some and then going off and like, I want to do something else now.
No, I mean, like, yeah. I mean, like, you... Yeah, when you're talking about like a single person who's like doing things for like artistic reasons, like they like he had something that he wanted to get out of his head. He had something that he wanted to do for Obra Dinn. He had something he wanted to say. He said it, and I think it's just like a fucking perfect little enclosed capsule of a game.
Yeah.
You know, maybe
it made a hell of an impression.
maybe the person who made Monster Hunter World had something in his head and he wanted to get it
Yeah,
out.
he did. But like,
Fuck monsters.
there was a lot more collaboration in something like Monster Hunter World, and that's the whole point of the game. You have to work with your friends to bring down the monsters.
No, just you and your demon.
You can.
Anyways,
You and your cat.
I already mentioned my winner was Astrobot, right?
Yep.
My runner-up though is actually Ashen. Just finished that up a week or two ago.
I want to play that.
It's a very kind of it's like a Dark Souls clone, but kind of on a smaller scale. But it just has a really good atmosphere and throughout, and like you can tell that it has the beginnings of like a really good world that they're setting up. You don't before you really get a chance to know it, the game's kind of over, which is a little bit unfortunate. But it was also kind of nice to
choice.
It was also kind of nice to play a game of that style that doesn't take 40 to 50 hours to finish. I ended up really appreciating like the art style a lot more as time went on and whatnot, and the combat is very satisfying, just like a good Dark Souls clone. A little limited in terms of the number of weapons and stuff, but yeah, it's a pretty fucking fantastic game, and it's a Microsoft exclusive. You don't get that very often, so. Yeah.
What's your winner, bitch? I mean,
Astrobot.
Nick.
I said,
you said
at the
okay.
beginning, Astrobot. Absolutely, 100% Astrobot.
Honorable mention for me, Dusk. Oh, great fucking shooter. One of the best shooters I ever played. I need more.
Honorable mention for me is Beat Saber.
Honorable mention for me, Moss.
Moss is
I really hope that they make more of that game because it's a little too. There's not enough meat on those bones, but it's good.
Subnautica's obvious, but we're getting more Subnautica next year.
Hell yeah! All right, and our last category this evening is best game that nobody played.
Oh my god, I have like 12 things to shame people with.
Okay.
But I'll start with my runner-up. Best game nobody played, and I hate to say it, but it didn't do very well. And not many people here got through it. Valkyria Chronicles 4. It's a stellar game in this series. Stellar.
Hey,
it is a return
Brad,
to
I'm just going to
form.
say you might hear from me about that game later.
Okay. Also, I did play like 20 hours of it. Nothing to shame me about.
It is a... You played how much?
Like 15 to 20 hours.
It is a amazing return to form for this series.
I got through like chapter 8 or something.
Oh, okay. It is a amazing return to form for this series, and
Ed's playing it right now.
And honestly, I just feel bad because a lot of people kind of over as time passed, a lot of people kind of became fans of the first Valkyria Chronicles, especially when it came to Steam and it got remastered, and a lot of people were kind of rallying behind that. Ended up doing well. I think it ultimately sold like over 1 million copies actually. But then Valkyria Chronicles 4 came out. I don't know, maybe it was timing, but I mean, it launched on the Switch. It launched on Steam. I don't know what people's problem was, but just...
I really regret not getting that game on Switch. I might still be playing it if I hadn't...
I mean, that's what you said about Hollow Knight, but the platform
I'm
ain't
playing
the
that
problem.
on Switch.
The platform ain't the problem. More people should have played this fucking game, and it makes me feel bad. Because this was a return to form. This is what we wanted after all these years. Back on consoles. Big, huge, amazing maps and mission design. And people weren't there to support the baby. This might be the last we see of Valkyria Chronicles. My number one, my winner for this category, I had to put it as my winner because this is a game that even I fucking didn't get to. I count as nobody played, but I started playing it and it's so fucking good. And I have a feeling that if I finished it, it might have been my favorite game of the year. I absolutely think it might be the Hollow Knight of 2017. And the reason it pisses me off so much is because I feel like everyone should have been talking about this fucking game when it came out.
Well, the problem
but
is
it's
it came
so
out super
hard.
late in the year.
Say the name of the
No,
game.
it didn't. It fucking didn't. That's
Say
the thing.
the name of the
It
game.
came out like 6 months ago, and that's Crosscode.
It came out in September.
Yeah. I mean, that's
basically 6 months.
That's 3 months before the end of the year.
I mean, it didn't just come out. I mean,
I know.
it didn't come out in fucking December, and also it was in early access. People
so that's,
had
that's,
a lot of time.
That's my runner-up, Brad.
People had a lot of time to be talking about this game, and I feel like people did it dirty because I feel like if more people played this shit, like even it was like Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight. It was a few months before people were even talking about Hollow Knight.
I agree with that in regards to Hollow Knight. Yes, Hollow Knight now is, everyone fucking loves Hollow Knight, but it took a while for that game to kick off. One reason is they had like zero marketing.
Yeah.
Nobody fucking knew about the game. Crosscode has zero marketing, like less than Hollow Knight. And I think and like I said, this is my runner-up, and it's just one of those scenarios where it's a fantastic game, but the only way people are going to hear about it is through Steam reviews and people posting videos on YouTube and us talking about it on the show. It's I don't think Crosscode is going to take off like Hollow Knight did. Don't get me wrong.
Don't worry.
It's hard to pit those two against each other.
Crosscode,
Hollow Knight, in my opinion, is a much higher game than Crosscode. It is better polished, but they're also different styles of games. And this one, I think, is a lot more ambitious. It's trying to do a lot. It's a fantastic game.
It's not going to get... See, Hollow Knight came out at a time... It came out early enough in the year that by the end of the year, there was enough people saying,
yes,
hey, y'all should be playing Hollow Knight, that you started to see like news outlets, YouTubers and stuff finally getting around to it because they didn't want to have it forgotten by the end of the year awards. But Crosscode came out at a bad time where people might start playing it now, but since it's 2019, there's a certain portion of the people who won't even consider it anymore.
Correct.
And it won't build up enough of that initial hype to get that port onto Switch. And without that port on the Switch, so many people are going to ignore it, and it's a goddamn fucking
I'm just
crime.
saying, I'm still playing this game. I was literally playing it the other day. I'm probably going to play it this weekend.
I'm going to finish this fucking game. I don't
really
care
good.
it's 2019 because it's better than all this other fucking shit.
But
God damn it.
So mad.
That being said, my winner is The Gardens Between.
Yeah.
This is a game that I don't know anyone who fucking played this game. But it is a fantastic puzzle game. It has a pretty... While it is... The story is not told through words as much as it is through the levels themselves, through kind of the way you interact with the world. Thank you, Prince, for finally saying I have a good choice. But the way you interact with this world, the fact that it's a puzzle, but the puzzle revolves around you moving backwards and forwards in time and changing elements.
As you kind of rotate.
As you rotate the world, and you can literally have time to be going forwards or backwards. And as you go forward, you can interact with something in backup time that changes how things go forward. And it's fucking great. If you haven't heard me talk about this game on the show before, or you haven't heard of it now, look it up. Just Google it. It's not a 40-hour game. It is a short, probably, I think I played it in one sitting, but like maybe 3-4 hour puzzle game. But it's fantastic. It's the Gorogoa of this year.
People are scratching their heads going, what's Gorogoa?
You should have checked out Gorogoa last year.
Should have been paying attention to our top 10s last year. All right.
Crispy, go.
My runner-up for game that nobody played. I'm angry.
Show us your mean face.
I'm sad, really.
Yeah.
I'm just sad.
Smash Brothers. Not a wife.
My runner-up is Wander Song.
Yeah.
I feel like...
Yep. It's a crime, dude.
Where's
All those
the
people that
discussion?
rallied behind Night in the Woods last year.
Yeah.
Where
are
are
they
those
for Wander
people?
Song?
I mean, this is the game we needed in 2018.
Fuck, dude.
This was the feel-good experience. This was the reason to get out of bed.
Mm-hmm.
This was the one. But I
Soundtrack
don't know.
of the year.
People
right.
will find it. They'll find it. I'm sure they will. And my
Steam's sure
winner,
making it easy.
huh?
Steam's sure making it easy.
Yeah, right. Fucking assholes. My winner goes to Gris.
Oh,
that's a good
got around to
choice.
playing that?
To be fair, that was very late in the year.
That was very
Did you
late
play all the
in
way through it, or?
I'm almost
quite.
at the end, but it is
I'm
fucking...
hearing really great things about that.
It is gorgeous.
Are you playing that on Switch?
Yeah. Gorgeous. I mean, it's just very, very, very chill, very kind of zen-like experience, and I think it's really worth it. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's engaging. It kind of tickles the same part of my brain that things like Journey did. But there's a little bit more here gameplay wise. There's like some platforming and stuff involved.
Cool.
But I think it's worth checking out.
All right.
And I'm sad that more people haven't.
I know the feeling. All right. My runner-up, going for the deep cut here. The Inpatient.
Ooh.
The first game I played
Wow.
in 2018.
I forgot about that
The
game.
Inpatient on PlayStation VR, which was a
I
spin-off
didn't
of
even know you
Until
liked that.
which is a spin-off of Until Dawn.
Yeah,
I mean,
I hear you talk about.
I didn't play a lot of games this year that I feel nobody played is the problem. A lot of the games that I played this year were very widely circulated. You know what I mean? That is probably one of the few games that I played this year that I don't feel anybody gave a shot to, especially towards when VR started to pick up steam towards the middle of the year, to the end of the year. Like, everybody forgot about The Inpatient. And it's not an amazing game, but it is yet another example of like the potential for VR in elevating the horror genre. I would love to see Supermassive Games do another game, and maybe in this new anthology series they're doing that's like entirely in VR. That could be really cool. They're obviously they must have done this game for some reason.
Yeah.
Like it's a shorter game. It's like it's like 3 hours maybe. Much smaller experience. And they obviously did Until Dawn: Rush of Blood, the roller coaster
That
Yep.
stupid fucking
game, which
one
was
where you use your
amazing.
phones.
What? On your phones?
Let's not talk about that. The point is, they're experimenting in VR, and like they're interested in the technology. They have a knack for it, and this game was pretty damn good. It totally kind of ties into Until Dawn in some pretty interesting ways.
But what's your winner, Nick?
But my winner is a game I've already talked about tonight, and that's Jurassic World Evolution. I think that game got swept under the rug. Maybe just because of
Swept
the
under the rug.
maybe just
That's
because
not the right turn of phrase. That's more like they're trying to hide something, right?
Oh, well then maybe, sorry, scratch that. The point is, like, I don't think, maybe it's just a byproduct of the genre that it's in. Maybe that genre just doesn't get a lot of play anyway, especially
I'll tell
on
you what.
console.
I think part of the problem is that it was released in conjunction with a very disappointing movie.
That's a big part.
It came out before the movie, though.
Yeah, I know, but like people didn't go watch the movie and get excited and then
And
go
be
play
like,
the
oh,
game.
I want to play a Jurassic
But
World
like,
game.
you're forgetting that the
Jurassic
first
Park.
Jurassic World's like one of the most financially successful movies ever released.
Yeah.
Like-
But that was also
Okay.
several years ago.
Okay, hang on.
But, like-
I mean,
but,
if
like-
you really want to have like a nuanced conversation about like successfully financially.
Dude, there are a lot of
successful,
people out there who don't care that it's not a great movie.
I'm
they
just saying
love
that
the
like
movie.
Lost Kingdom definitely, I'm sure, was
Fallen
like
Kingdom.
taking the wind out of some people's sails about Jurassic.
Sure,
Maybe,
but like I saw Fallen Kingdom and I still had a fine time playing Jurassic World Evolution.
I know
Good on you, Nick.
you like Jurassic Park.
Again, but I'm not a huge fan of Jurassic World. I'm just saying, like, it is a pretty
Like me, I'm a huge fan of Jurassic.
No,
World.
stop it! Y'all fucking stop.
Yeah, stop.
This is not,
Stop.
I didn't mean to trigger anything.
No. Talk about your game. Talk about your game.
Jurassic. I've already talked about Jurassic. I mean, it's a park building sim. But I think it's got a pretty cool hook to it. I think that can be appealing regardless of whether it's attached to a movie or not. And I just think maybe because that genre isn't big on consoles, and it's probably maybe a big contributing
When you
factor as
feed-
well.
Tyrannosaurus Rexes, do you like put goats in their
Yeah.
cage out of like a little like?
Yep. And if they get out, they'll eat people.
But Nick,
But like,
they don't want
remember-
to be fed. They want to hunt.
and they do.
Do you remember E3 though? Like, remember it at E3?
Yeah.
They had that huge fucking booth, and there was never anybody in there.
Yeah, that's true.
Like what? Like I don't know.
I don't know. Something about
Traditionally,
something
Jurassic
about
Park
it.
games have been bad.
Yeah, maybe that. And also, I think that's another byproduct of the fact that like people probably saw it like, oh, Jurassic Park, and then they realize, oh, it's like a park building sim. I don't want to wait in a line to play a park building sim.
I guess.
And but
I feel like that was like you hear people talk about Operation Genesis all the fucking time and how much they want another one of those.
Dude,
and that's what this
sure.
is, and people were just kind of like,
I know, and there's probably a lot of reasons why this didn't do very well. But like at its core, when you finally sit down to play it, like it's a damn good game. Like Robin even picked it up and played like 30 hours of it.
Wow, Jesus.
Yeah, like it's a damn fine video game.
hey, Nick.
But nobody played it.
I got some honorable mentions I'd like to rattle off.
Sure, go for it.
Frostpunk.
Onrush, Overload, Wandersong, Pit People, Chasm, Bloodstain, but most of all,
Pit People,
where the fuck are Witcher fans for
Yeah,
Thronebreaker?
that's true.
You're fucking up. You're fucking up. If you love
No.
that universe, if you love those characters, you are fucking up.
people hate Witcher now.
No, they don't.
Yes, they
People
do.
love Witcher.
No, they
And
hate,
they're not
they hate
playing
Witcher
Thronebreaker.
because of the guy, because of Andres.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sapper Waskowitz.
Shut up, Crispy. bad derail. Listen,
No, but they do.
people love this universe.
People hate Witcher.
And they love these stories. They should be playing.
People realize that The Witcher was just Harry Potter.
What the fuck's wrong with that?
You're a Witcher.
You know, it's actually really hard.
That was good.
It's actually been really hard to get this message out to people. So it's funny. They're funny jokes, but like you and others need to be playing through Thronebreaker.
Yeah.
Because there is a story. We'll talk about it on Tuesday.
Oh, will we?
Thronebreaker is exceptional.
I need to finish. I haven't
If
finished
you're
it yet.
a Witcher
I need
fan,
to.
you need to play through that game.
Honorable mention for
You're
me is
welcome,
Moss.
Brad.
Thank you. Oh, we'll talk about it later.
Honorable mention for me is Moss.
Moss is that's a good honorable mention.
Into the Breach, maybe? I feel
Maybe.
like
Whoa,
so
no. Actually, quite
Into
possible.
the
have-
Breach actually did really
All right,
well.
guys.
No, but the right people didn't play.
No.
All right.
They did.
All the
They
lame
did.
people
They
played.
did. In fact, that blew up
But
on
like
Switch as well.
the cool people did not play.
So
Well,
actually, I
everyone
thought.
no, I know all the
Okay.
cool people, and they didn't play.
Okay, this guy knows.
Your friends are.
I know the cool people because like I'm friends with them all because I'm basically a cool person myself. They didn't play it.
Beyonce played Into the Breach.
I don't think Bay did.
Oh my god. Are we done? Because I have one last
What's
thing
Honorable
to do.
mention?
No, one last thing to do, unrelated to awards. Again, this is only part one of our award show. We will pick this back up on Tuesday night, 8 p.m. We'll do another round of awards, so make sure you come back and join us for that. We thank you guys for sticking around for this. I have one more thing I want to do tonight because, of course, it is still January and we do have a supporter spotlight. I want to make sure we get through all of her responses in the month of January because most of the shows in January are going to be special shows, not regular shows, right?
Weird shows.
So I would like to take this opportunity to once again thank Miss Elizabeth for supporting us on Patreon, and she is our supporter spotlight. We asked what her most cherished video game memory is, and she says her most cherished video game memory is from when she went on a trip with Ubisoft and meeting the developers and producers of Watch Dogs 2.
Cool.
It's a very surreal realization that every game you play and talk about, there's hundreds and sometimes thousands of faces behind it.
In the case of Ubisoft, thousands.
Yes, thousands. It based myself on my criticism of. Wait, I based myself on my criticisms of content entirely because now every time I point out a flaw, I try to understand why it exists, not just that it's there, but why it's there. I love that moment so much, and I still smile about it today. Oh, hold on one second. Where'd it go? I lost it.
Thronebreaker, guys.
Yeah. Sorry. One more part of this. Also, she says the first holiday that and also we asked what her most treasured Christmas because this was around Christmas time, so most treasured Christmas related video game memory. She said the first holiday I spent away from home was with my mother in upstate New York, and it was a weird feeling not being in a bigger house with a bigger family. My mother and I have a shared love with video games, so we'd always play them at home. When we both got back from work, I poured us some glasses of eggnog, and we played Mario Kart 8 Deluxe all day. It was the best Christmas ever. She also says she would love to play, and she would definitely enjoy playing Mario Kart with people in the community. You guys in the community, she's talking to us as well. It's easily the number one game on our list, and you can hate each other and love the fun you're having with everyone. If anyone wants to drop my friend code, hit me up in Discord. And her name, of course, is Miss Elizabeth. So thank you again, Miss Elizabeth.
Nice.
And for the last show of January, we'll be reading her 4-player minute. So I think that's going to do it for tonight, guys. Do y'all have anything you want to say in closing? No?
Yeah.
Do we have to do this again?
Yes. Yes, we do.
Yeah, I feel like all the juicier ones are next week.
No,
right?
yeah, I know. It's true.
Right?
All right. Tune in next Tuesday night. Again, reminder, next Tuesday, or for the next few weeks, our shows will be recorded on Tuesday nights.
Oh, no, I do have a final thought.
Final thought
I will
from Brad.
say, take this final topic of like best games no one played and use this weekend maybe if you got the time to try to maybe, this is your final chance, try to knock something out, maybe get through Wandersong, maybe finish Thronebreaker, maybe fucking try Dusk or Into the Breach again, Nick.
Brad, I don't have an extra fucking 35 hours
All
this
right.
weekend.
Listen, no one does. But what I'm saying is, you got one more chance. This is it. Live it.
Do it.
All right. Thank you for that, Brad. Join us again next Tuesday night for part 2 of our 2018 award show. We still have a lot more categories to go through, and next week's show will be kind of more focused on like story and narrative stuff. There'll be some gameplay in there, obviously, but
We're gonna have fun next week.
we're gonna have some fucking not like tonight. We're gonna have some.
Why don't you
fucking
read
fun.
off the topics for next week?
Oh yeah, I can do that. Unless you have the list more readily available because you totally dropped
I
that
do.
on me last second. Wait,
No, I got him here.
best.
I got him here.
Okay.
Best looking game, best storytelling, best world building, best new character, best ensemble cast, best character relationship, best video game moment of the year, biggest surprise, biggest disappointment, the Asterisk Award, the biggest regret of the year, and our number 11 award.
The game that just barely missed our top 10
Damn.
lists.
Next week sounds fun.
Yeah, next week will be a good show. So tune in next Tuesday night for part 2 of our show. Thank you so much for listening. And join us again next week for another episode. Good night.
Bye.